Oh, okay. Chat, hi. Ooh. All right. Oh, why did I... Hang on. The f... Oh, dear. That is a very full bar. Why is that bar so full? Come on. I will say the bar does seem to have a positive influence on you guys. Because you're a bunch of fucking monkeys. But, hang on. So we'll keep it up for a little while. See how we feel. Oh. Where's my stream dashboard? Oh, I'm so tired. God. Did you see Alex Stein yesterday? Yeah, I did, yeah. Have you looked up collective punishment? Not today. I'm very tired, guys. I just didn't sleep much. I did a very intense leg day. I squatted 120. I deadlifted 120. Okay, we're just chilling today. Oh, fuck. We're just taking it easy. We're going to take it so easy, okay? Just relax. I can barely keep my fucking eyes open. Let me make a little announcement in the thing. Here we go. Live now. Alright. Okay. Okay. Ooh. Okay. How are we doing, guys? We keeping well? Hey. The fuck, dude. I guess this is interesting. And I say the word interesting in its broadest possible sense. WCK just announced they're resuming operations in Gaza. That's good. Good for them. Hey. I really hope the IDF doesn't fucking kill a bunch of them again. That would be nice, wouldn't it? I think someone in my... I don't know why I got sent this. I wasn't watching this stream. Apparently, Aiko was streaming yesterday. And President Sunday was in the chat. And apparently some of you guys watch Aiko as well. So... Avocadorable. And they I think they baited President Sunday into the Holocaust memes again, and he hasn't backed down. You're an idiot. It's not Holocaust denial to point out that, like the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians, the Holocaust was not official policy, but was internally organized within the party and military. That's just a fact of history. The documents were not public. He still doesn't... Okay. Official policy would refer to it being expressed in public documents. It was still policy, it just wasn't official policy. The thing is, Sunday's not like a Holocaust denier, okay? Obviously. He's just... He just... He just assumed that official and public had to be the same thing, that official has to imply public. Obviously it doesn't. And he's just too proud to realize the mistake. He'll commit to that for the rest of his life. He's stuck. He's cemented. There's no going back. Okay. Okay. Anyway, that's the most attention I would care to give that. It's just... Oh, God. What a fucking state. Oh, yeah, I saw this. 7 years ago, the UAE foreign minister made a threat or a warning to the West. Okay, what did he say?
And let me say this in English so you can understand what I'm saying.
Ooh. Okay.
No, I know you have translation, but I just want to make sure you get it right.
Why was this like one of those Emirati guys who was born, raised, educated, lost his virginity all in like fucking London. Okay, LSE.
There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of the lack of decision-making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
Oh.
And let me say this.
I wish there could be some elaboration here, because I feel like if you're going to make a prediction like that and say that this guy was right, you probably want to show his reasoning for saying that, like why he believed. Because political correctness, like where's the elaboration there? He could be onto something, but I don't. Okay, that was really less interesting than I thought it would be. Wow. Fuck's sake. Ugh. I'm sure this could be applied to a dozen things. Sure. Whatever. Like, some people are very much suckers for predictions. If you get someone saying, I think something will happen, like, even if it's a fairly vague reference, or if they're talking about something that's already been happening. I don't know. 7 years ago? Was extremism in Europe not already on the rise in Europe 7 years ago? 7 years ago, maths was 2017. 2017, which is like, this is after Paris attacks. It's after 7/7. I don't know what the argument is. Huh. You're still focusing on campus protests. Like I said, Lucid Doggo, it's not my fault they have decided to make a massive spectacle of themselves, okay? I wasn't even going to say that much about them. I just saw a couple of videos that I thought were funny. That's it. That is like one of the lowest priorities of this stream. Crazy to think 2017 was 7 years ago. Oh, yeah. I mean, we could read, I know people, even though I've spoken about this twice on stream and actually mentioned it in one of my segments as well, people are still mad that I'm not talking about the mass graves, even though I am talking about the mass graves. Can I get unbanned from your Discord? I don't know why I was banned. Oh, because you're not a good faith actor. I just don't, like, there's no, I can't, there's so many, there are a few things that annoy me more or blackmail me more than someone who just feels like their understanding and their perspective should just be accepted at face value. Like, you were offended that I was asking you to justify your points or asking you to elaborate on them. And it's like, that's fine if you think contentious claims are actually default. That's okay, but why the fuck don't debate people then? Don't look for arguments. Just go find an echo chamber, watch Hassan or the deprogram or whatever, and just be happy. Like, I'm thinking of the right person, right? The person that we spoke to on stream, and then Sev came in afterwards. Anyway. Oh god, I need to get a new extension for paywalls though. Hang on. Does this baby do it? The size of that mug. It's not a mug. The guy that said Trump would be better than Biden. Oh yeah. That was one of the arguments, wasn't it? I forgot about that. Oh shit. Yeah, that was one of the arguments. Oh well. Oh god, I want to read this Reuters article because apparently Reuters actually have done a bit of a summary about what we know about the mass graves. So that would be handy. It'd be good to see it from something that's not just open source intels on Twitter and shit. Let me see. Oh my god. I don't know, guys. I don't know how to get... I need a new paywall remover. Oh no. I mean, subscription. I need a subscription. I need to go do a subscription. Oh, fuck. It's good to have high water intake, though. Mm-hmm. Those are the facts. So we just... Apparently the ICC will be investigating intentional starvation. I saw that, yeah. We'll see. It's actually, again, it's good that these guys are... It's good that these guys are investigating. You hold it backwards. What, like this? Why is that backwards? You want me to drink from here? I'm not pouring it into a glass. Like, I'm drinking it like it would be a glass. Like that. What? Or this? What's wrong with this? Do you want me to drink from the spout? Why? You guys are weird. Very weird. Just get a bottle. If I get a bottle, I have to refill it more times. This one, 2 pints. I fill it once, I got 2 pints in me. What's... This is just a big glass. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you. It's just a large glass. Ooh. You know, there's lots of pubs. Remember the lady that called you Kleenex box and tried to get you cancelled? Wonder where they're at. Who the fuck called me Kleenex box and tried to get me cancelled? I don't remember this. Who the fuck did that? What? Okay. You know, there are pubs in the UK that would do deals on pitchers, and what you would do is, if you're going out drinking, is you would just get a pitcher each. Oh, Poly people.
Subscription.
Thanks for the $20. Really appreciate that, Pinhead Larry. Well, God, that's so kind of you. Poly people. She never called me Kleenex box. She called me genocide box, didn't she? Did she call me... Why did she call me Kleenex box? Is it like a sexual thing? Like a cum rag? I don't... What? How is she doing? I was banned from Twitch. Streams on YouTube. 2K subs. Videos. 2 months ago segment. But live streams fairly often. 357. Hassan destroys on Pierce Morgan. Read as many chats as possible in 4 hours' time. AMA. What is the... Oh, this is the intro screen. Okay, but she actually talks here, right?
Yeah, okay. When I was 4, I realized because of all the internet that was around that I was actually trans. Come on, man.
Okay.
Why not make trans people if you didn't want them in life, right? For sure. Eggplants. Yeah, you trying to own me with the eggplant thing?
She's just doing an AMA for 4 hours.
That's
That's actually quite impressive. She's just managing to talk through all of that.
One group or the other. That's why
Okay.
people cry and whine about kids' genitalia, because that's how we enforce patriarchy. I mean, it's arbitrary if you think about it.
Okay. That's not bad. If you can talk for that long, go for it. I think she got banned on Twitch for breaking, because Twitch have very specific rules about which body parts can be exposed. And I think it's like just below the hip, you're not supposed to show. Kleenex box. I have interest. But why is she... Don't know. Why is she...
first question slide.
Like
right?
iPhone
Think about trans.
resolution. Why is she doing that?
This. Don't worry, Hassan does a great job.
No, it says bring them
Bring them home.
instead of rebuilding.
She's like, I'm gonna up my little demon nonic stuff and go full straight up demon, right? Demonic demon.
But that's okay. Build
A
terror.
demonic demon. Okay, I think she's fine. She's the same as ever. Okay. Just not on Twitch. Well. Anyway. What's this? What is this? Alex Stein. Okay.
For Destiny, do you? Destiny, yes! For Destiny,
Is he drunk?
do you? Destiny, yes! Destiny, do you still believe in open marriages after your wife left you?
I'm not talking to you.
After
You're
your wife
an
left
actual
you.
loser. You are an actual loser.
After
I'm
your
not here
wife
for
left
free
you, do you
clout.
still believe in
You
open
can't-
marriages?
Alex, you can't afford me.
Yeah, what? Because
I'm not,
you're rich?
you can't
Oh,
afford
yeah.
me. No, you can't
you're
afford
so
me.
Cool that
No, because
rich
you're a
while your
broke
wife
fucking
bangs
loser.
other
You cannot
guys.
afford
But,
any of my
dude, You're
time.
mad at me for calling out your wife, yet your wife bangs other guys. Like, why do you get mad at me? You try to ban me from events. You try to get me blackballed from stuff. Yet you're the one whose wife is cheating on you. All right. Dude, you're a cuckold. You're a cuckold. You're a cuckold.
Cry, yes,
You're a
cry.
cuckold.
I love it. I love it how
I'm a
fucking
pimp,
mad
I'm
you
a-
are. Yes,
No,
be
I'm
mad.
not
Did he
Be
throw a
mad.
drink
You're
at
so
him?
fucking mad. Why did you harass a woman
Security.
upstairs or some shit? It's the only way you'll ever get near
Your
one.
wife
You're such a
is
fucking
left
loser.
you.
Get the fuck
Your
away from me. What are you
wife-
even
I'm
doing
a
up here?
loser.
Yes,
Your
you're a
wife
fucking loser.
left you.
You're a
Dude,
loser.
his wife
You're like, why are you
gave him
talking to
hundreds
them?
of thousands
Hey,
of
bro, I know
dollars.
that you're hungry
You're
for
a
my cock.
loser.
I know you're so hungry for this clout.
you're
You
the
wish you
gay
could have a
one. You're a
fraction of my clout.
bisexual
Go
freak.
look, there's so many
You're
women
a
up there. You can go and harass.
bisexual
Go do
freak,
it.
dude.
Go do
Just
it.
'cause you have money
Go
doesn't
do
mean
it.
you're not a
Don't
loser,
smile at me like a
man.
creepy
You're
fucking
the
Chucky
loser.
doll, bro.
All
Go,
right, I'm
look
a pimp on
upstairs.
a blimp. I'm a pimp on a blimp. While your girlfriend's getting blacked every night.
It's like a worse version of Alex Jones in every conceivable way.
Your wife left you.
Yes,
dude.
I've heard you say
got
the
all
same
that
shit
money.
for 4
All
years.
that money and your
Get a
wife
new
still
script.
leaves
Get a
you.
new script.
Hey, yeah, you have all that money and your wife still leaves you.
And that's
bud.
fine. There's plenty of other fish in the sea, buddy.
I know, because
go,
you're gay.
Look at all these
Go
people
have
up here.
sex with one of your
Thank you. Yes,
boyfriends.
I will. Yeah, absolutely.
love it, guys.
Is that what you
Let's
want
do
from
it.
me? Is that what you're here to beg for?
No, I'm just saying.
If you want to be, just be honest. We're in Austin. They're accepting
I
people.
like it how their security guy is now he's coming on the stage. Okay, what the fuck? This festival was such a shit show. Oh god. So here's the security guy coming on. Okay, let's see what he does.
Here.
You know I'm
You're trying to be nice?
You know I'm trying to be nice.
No,
to
you're
you,
hungry
and
for
then all you try to
attention.
do is
You're
blackball
hungry
me
for. I'm not trying to
You're
blackball you from
gay.
anything.
Oh, you
If
know
anything,
you
you're getting
have.
blue balled right now. Get the
You-
fuck off the stage, you
Dude,
fucking loser.
your
What are you doing
wife
up here?
left you with all
I
that
know. Yeah,
money.
you can keep screaming the
He's a
same
cuckold.
thing.
He's an actual cuckold. So
He looks like an enlarged he looks like an enlarged primary school
You're such
child.
a fucking
Left
loser.
you.
Get the.
He's
That, and they're accepting people.
trying to do is
You're
blackball
hungry.
me. All
I
that
know. Yeah, you
money.
can keep screaming the
He's a
same
cuckold.
thing.
Like this, he looks like a, you know what I mean? Like, they kind of fuck like an 8-year-old who just gets a little bit taller than all the other kids really quickly, and they're kind of clumsy and kind of dumb, and they're kind of like an attempted bully, but not very good at it.
He's an actual cuckold.
He's just that, but like enlarged, like just click and drag, pinch and zoom.
So
Okay. Interesting. Alex Stein. I feel like, yeah, those events definitely have a bit of a security issue. Literal human hemorrhoid. Hey, that's my insult. I said that. What? But yeah, you can take it. It's fine. Go for it. Go mental. What is this? For some reason, arms. The protesters at Portland State University wanted the pro-Palestine protesters, demanded that they freeze ties with Boeing. Okay. Wonder why. Probably because of arms. But what was Boeing doing with the university? Okay. An Oregon university said Friday it is pausing seeking or accepting further gifts or grants from Boeing after students and faculty demanded that the school sever ties with the aerospace company because of its weapons manufacturing divisions and its connections to Israel amid the war in Gaza. Portland State University President Ann Cood said the school acted in response to the passion with which these demands are being repeatedly expressed by members of the university community. Just making sure this image isn't... Okay, whatever. What have you been hearing from students in terms of demands or plans to protest, and has there been open dialogue? So there hasn't been much of an open dialogue to this point, and that's really why I sent out the communication that I sent out today. We have had protests for the most part on what I would call the pro-Palestinian side, and they have been essentially shouting slogans and demands, and the main demand is that I've heard is that don't invest in Boeing. We don't actually invest in Boeing, so I have responded in the past to the students and clarified that in fact, we receive contributions for scholarship programs from Boeing. So there hasn't been really much dialogue from the side of the protesters about why they are opposed to that. Question, do you have an estimate of how much money in donations or scholarships PSU has gotten from Boeing? Over the years, we've received about $1 million. Now, this is over the course of probably a couple of decades. So, Boeing was giving money to Portland State University for scholars, to help them fund scholarships. And they've gotten rid of that. Doesn't that mean that the university might have to allow less people in on scholarships? Like, are these the people whose parents can afford the tuition costs and the board and everything else, locking out the ones who can't? What? God damn. I wonder if anyone on a Boeing-funded scholarship was part of that protest. The fuck, man? It's so weird. You have to it doesn't take long to do a bit of research on your university to see what their ties are with any organization and whether or not those ties are actually necessary or whether it's frivolous or whether it's going in one direction or the other. Because sometimes universities can do kind of like mutual favors back and forth with different companies and stuff like that, or different universities. But if you're just taking donations for... I'm gonna... Olive sent me that, by the way. Thanks, Olive. That's insane, bro. Of course, I got 1 million TikToks getting dropped in my feed now. Thank you for that. The scholarship kids are actually in the classes doing their work. Yeah, you would think the ones who have the time to protest are the ones who are probably not actually working. Because some people would probably, if you're on scholarships, might have to work jobs whilst they're there to pay for living and shit. I did see this. This is one of the protests. They're reenacting the pictures, I guess, of the guys who were being partially stripped and blindfolded. The POWs, the prisoners. And the thing is that this picture was often shared alongside pictures of like the Holocaust or Bosnia, even though I don't think they realized that in Bosnia, what would usually happen after a photo like this was taken was that these guys would get marched into a warehouse or a school or in front of a ditch, sometimes even forced to dig a hole themselves, and then all just shot in the head and thrown in a hole, right? But I don't really know. I feel like if that happened, whoever took this picture would have captured that as well, or would have... Not too sure. I feel like these guys are prisoners. I don't really know if they're about to get massacred. Maybe they were, but I feel like we would have heard about that by now. Anyway. Still, I will say, unnecessary humiliation, which this very much seems to be. Not that, this is a protest. This might actually be a violation of IHL. I mean, it is. If there's no if there's no security reason for stripping someone that hard down, or like if you have no reason to believe that a bunch of them might have like suicide bombs on them or whatever, or if I guess you've found that they don't have explosives on them, so you could probably let them put their fucking trousers back on at least. Yeah, that is an international law issue. You're not supposed to do that.
Fucking kill your husband! That's all fucking of us! You Palestinian fucking scum! You don't deserve to fucking live! This is our land!
Oh, they put the powder on them and then they die.
Your fucking family is gonna be wiped off the fucking registry! You don't have any fucking friends left, you fucking terrorist! You like that? You like watching your fucking husband and brothers die? That's why you're fucking...
I feel like that part's maybe an embellishment. I don't know if this has happened yet. It might have. Again, I'm just saying, but like I don't really know. Don't think there's been any confirmation of it going in that direction.
God, you disgusting fucking women! Boo! Boo! How fucking dare you document this? Fuck you!
Should kill the journalist.
Yeah! Yeah! I'm gonna come after your fucking family!
Last one.
Israel is our fucking land!
You might watch it. Oh, she's like almost crying watching that. Okay. I wonder how I would feel in the mid-90s and Srebrenica's happened and there's footage coming out of that event and people who are protesting against it started doing a reenactment like this. Bro, I'd be really fucked off. Anyway. Okay. I mean, they filled in a few blanks there, but you know. Not gonna lie, we do this in my village for the Farkasa memorial. Do you? Like with the boom, whilst throwing the powder on them. Boom. Sounds like a J-dam. It's not as cringe though. Okay. One of these professors actually spoke about this. I guess he's a UCLA guy. Israel dude. I'm a scholar of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and a longtime advocate for peace and for Palestinian rights. I have publicly opposed Israel's occupation of the West Bank and its blockade and now destruction of Gaza. I support the rights of students and faculty to peacefully protest against Israel, including by establishing protest encampments such as the one at my campus on UCLA. I do not want these protest camps to be removed by the police, whose propensity for unnecessary and excessive use of force is well established. I guess we saw that yesterday, right? With the professor lady calls the cop a coward. She shouts at him and he's not doing anything to her, but then she just says coward. And as soon as she says coward, he like flips and just wrestles her and chases her around the fucking lawn and drags her to the ground and binds her hands. I'm like, bro, what? Personal sensitivity policing. Anyway. Based? I don't really know if you're supposed to arrest someone. Like, I don't really know if the line being crossed should be they call you a coward. Like, someone, they just insult you. In America, First Amendment. What? Okay. As a Jew, I do not personally feel threatened or unsafe because of the protest encampment at UCLA. I know some of the students taking part and believe they are well intentioned. Many, probably most, of the protesters are simply horrified by the mass killing and near famine in Gaza and want it to end. So do I. But I cannot join this protest because it is not just a protest against the war in Gaza. Ooh. Among the demands of the protest organizers is the demand to sever all UC-wide connections to Israeli universities, including study abroad programs, fellowships, seminars, and research collaborations, and UCLA's Nazarian Center. Needless to say, I oppose the demand to boycott the Nazarian Center, which I direct. The center is devoted to the academic study of Israel and has no ties to the Israeli government. I also oppose boycotting Israeli academic institutions and academic boycotts in general. But it isn't only the demands of the protest organizers that I have a problem with. One of the organizations behind the protests, Students for Justice in Palestine, has expressed support for Hamas and has even celebrated the massacre of Israelis on October 7th. Being in solidarity with Palestinians does not necessitate supporting Hamas. On the contrary, Hamas oppresses Palestinians and has no concern for the lives of Palestinian civilians in Gaza. They have openly stated that they are willing to sacrifice countless Palestinian lives, martyrs, for their cause, which is the ultimate eradication of Israel. They have spent billions building a vast underground network to protect themselves and their weaponry, but they haven't built a single bomb shelter for Gazan civilians or sheltered them in their tunnels. They are prolonging the devastating war in Gaza and the humanitarian crisis there in order to maintain their power and authoritarian rule in Gaza. I know that many people in the pro-Palestinian movement don't support Hamas and don't praise the October 7th massacre, but groups like SJP lead the movement on many college campuses, exploiting the sympathy that many students rightly feel for the suffering of Palestinians. I thought SJP was just Columbia. I didn't know that they were also leading protests in other universities. That's really bad. Because SJP, we've read their stuff before. I don't need to do it again. They're horrible. They're really bad. Okay. Students and faculty demonstrating in support of Palestinians shouldn't ignore the fact that the organizers of these demonstrations are, in many cases, ideologically committed to eradicating Israel and expelling Israeli Jews, supportive of violence against Israeli civilians, and willing to ignore or even justify Hamas's strategy of sacrificing Palestinian civilians for their political ends. SJP is Students for Justice for Palestine. I guess that explains why, though. That's why you have flyers going up at these protests that say things like "Go back to Europe," or what was it, Europe, USA, etc. was one of them. They left etc. I guess because obviously the etc. means that they're definitely aware of Middle Eastern and North African Jews. But what's the first reply? Resistance is justified when the people are occupied. Hope that helps. Targeting civilians and conducting atrocities isn't justified. Bro, how this is like a fucking menorah, a Palestinian flag, a watermelon, and a menorah, but also the fuck, man, what a fucking psycho. The doublespeak. Did they come back? No. Okay, Dove Waxman. Okay. Do they have connections with each other, or is it just under the same umbrella? That I don't know. But I think their Instagram page, was that UCLA or was it? No, yeah, I don't know. I was thinking Columbia, not UCLA. Yeah, I don't know. The one I've definitely looked at I think it was the Columbia one specifically. I don't know if they were speaking for the entire movement. He clearly doesn't know about JVP. What? Is that a joke? Oh god, JVP are just like, they're just the ultimate trump card, aren't they? What an absolute mess. All right. Senior Hamas official. Terror group finds no major issues with Gaza truce offer. I saw that. I saw that there might be actually a potential ceasefire, another potential one of many potential ones, but it looks like there might be a breakthrough because this is from 3 hours ago. Is there about to be a breakthrough in the Gaza ceasefire talks? Why there appears to be a greater optimism about the prospect of a truce and what an agreement could look like. What is happening with ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas? There's been a recent flurry of activity around the talks with an uptick of optimism about the progress. According to Axios' Barak Ravid, the Israeli proposal is for a potential deal with Hamas for a ceasefire in exchange for the release of hostages and talks over the restoration of sustainable calm in Gaza. In recent days, Hamas has also broadcast several proof-of-life videos of hostages who may... Oh, I saw this there. They were sharing videos of hostages which suggests that they do actually want to maybe use them to negotiate something, who may be expected to be exchanged at some point during a deal, which could increase domestic political pressure on Israel, where the hostages' return is a potent issue. The language is instructive. Sustainable calm suggests a solution somewhat short of the total victory repeatedly touted by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has vowed to dismantle Hamas. Intriguingly, it also mirrors a suggestion for a truce from a senior Hamas official, Khalil al-Hayya, last week, who floated the idea of a hudna, a word used in Islamic jurisprudence to describe a kind of long-term truce or calm. However, the messaging comes out of the talks has been very contradictory. While the Qataris, who represent one mediation route, have talked publicly about their frustration over stalled talks, there has been more activity in recent days around Egyptian-Israeli talks, a forum that has delivered ceasefires in previous conflicts. A senior Israeli official told Hebrew media that talks with the Egyptians were very good, focused, held in good spirits, and progressed in all parameters. The position of the US, which has been pushing for a ceasefire deal, is that there is a good deal on the table, with the onus on Hamas to budge. With Hamas saying it is looking at the new Israeli offer, reports in the Israeli media on Sunday indicated recent meetings of the Israeli Security Cabinet suggested a more flexible position. The US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, is also expected to visit Israel in the coming days to discuss the negotiations. What about Israel's threat to launch an offensive against Rafah? Israel has made it very clear that it is using the prospect of a Rafah operation and its visible preparations for it, including the construction of large tented encampments, as an explicit threat to Hamas, essentially saying that this represents the last opportunity for a ceasefire. Oh, is that how they're interpreting it now? Are we interpreting Israel's little tent city that they're building outside of Rafah as a warning rather than an actual plan? Maybe. I don't know. I feel like Netanyahu would actually rather finish off Hamas, no? That's the feeling I got from him, but... Psychological tent warfare. Wait, what is this? Oh. Someone said Destiny was on my subreddit, but he's on LSF. I guess they thought it was mine because it's also pink. Their subreddit's also pink as well. Or purple. I don't know. Okay. Whatever. Complicating the issue, however, is the fact that Hamas is abundantly aware of the strong opposition internationally to Israel going into Rafah, not least in Washington, which has undercut this message. Underlining this, the New York Times said on Friday that the Biden administration was considering imposing restrictions on defense exports to Israel if it launched a large-scale operation in Rafah. Making the link explicit, Israel's foreign minister, Israel Katz, told Channel 12 in Israel after meeting the Egyptian delegation, "If there is a deal, we will suspend the operation. The release of hostages is a deep priority for us." Some Israeli commentators are also pointing to speculation that the International Criminal Court may be considering issuing arrest warrants for senior Israeli officials as driving a renewed openness to talks. What's on the table? The essential shape of any deal has not changed that much. It would be presented as a humanitarian ceasefire. At the heart of talks is a ceasefire for hostages arrangement. Hamas would release hostages in exchange for a ceasefire lasting weeks and the release of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails. The talks have stalled around both major issues: Hamas's maximalist demand that Israeli troops withdraw from Gaza and end the conflict, and granular detail, not least about numbers and which Palestinian prisoners should be released. The current formula would apparently allow the release of a slightly smaller number of hostages, 33 sick, elderly, and wounded, representing the number of surviving hostages in the humanitarian category, in exchange for unspecified numbers of Palestinian prisoners. What is unclear is what the release of humanitarian hostages would mean for those in other groups, including captive soldiers. Some reports have suggested that Israel has indicated willingness to make further concessions in the future, including withdrawing forces who are cutting the Gaza Strip in half and allowing the return of residents to the north. There are also suggestions that the conversation in Israeli security circles may have moved from the destruction of the last 4 largely intact Hamas battalions in Rafah to whether closing the Hamas arms smuggling routes from Egypt would achieve the same long-term objective, requiring a new agreement with Egypt over control of and monitoring of the so-called Philadelphia route on the border. I wonder if the way I read this New York Times article yesterday, it made me think that one of the options being suggested is like Israel just leaves those last 4 battalions in Rafah, I guess controls the potential for smuggling, and then still just pursues and just carries on pursuing their deal with Qatar, etc., to have a different administration come in North Gaza, like in Khan Yunis or in Gaza City. And I wonder if that would just be a way of saying, like, look, hey, guys in Rafah, here's what you could get instead, where they're like rebuilding and shit like that. And then they're like, oh, wait, we could get that if we just get rid of Hamas. Woo. Like, I don't know. It just seems kind of fantastical, but I have no idea. I feel like with that article we read yesterday, that was probably like the only way you could actually action that is you would, if you want to keep Hamas there, if you're okay to keep Hamas there, then you would also just have to think about starting a next step project and just doing it in parts of Gaza that are not occupied by those Hamas battalions, which would be the north and in Khan Yunis. Okay, anyway. Are the talks in good faith? We have been here before, and there's a lot of cynicism in the positioning on both sides. Both Israel and Hamas will be maneuvering to be able to suggest the other side is responsible for any failure in the current ceasefire talks. However, there seems to be some genuine movement for now, although the devil is in the detail, not least over which Palestinian prisoners would be released. While the dynamics on the side of Hamas remain largely opaque, not least around the position of the leader of Hamas in Gaza, Yahya Sinwar, Netanyahu's difficulties with his own coalition remain in evidence. Far-right coalition partners, including the National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, remain opposed to any deal. That's the thing as well. Netanyahu knows that he can never be too generous because, generous in the eyes of the Israeli right, because Ben-Gvir and Smotrich might just resign. And if they resign, if they leave the cabinet, then that's Netanyahu doesn't have a government. That coalition, like those guys are propping him up. He needs them. However, a recent uptick in public support for Netanyahu and drop in support for senior cabinet member Benny Gantz may have taken some pressure off of him. Speaking to Haaretz, a senior Qatari official accused both sides, of sabotaging the process each time they came close to a deal. Damn. The Qatari official, eh? Dave Mid Al Bin Rubin. Anyway. This is a keeper. Remember how I told you I might consider doing a video on... I told you I was going to consider doing a video on the Intercept versus New York Times on the rape allegations on October 7th. Zaysquirrel tweeted this out today. The mass rape hoax is the most depraved, genocidal atrocity propaganda campaign in modern history, used to launder the mass murder and actual rape of Palestinians, and I will not rest until every single participant in fabricating and spreading it is exposed and held accountable. What a fucking lunatic, man. Like, okay. She blocked me ages ago, so I don't fucking... Whatever. Absolute lunatic. How much do you want to bet that they're resting so hard right now? Yeah, they're having their third nap of the day. All that mouth breathing expends a lot of energy, you know? Dylan Burns still getting fucked over by YouTube. You can create a new channel, make sure you follow the regulations. Oh, God. Oh, dear. Poor Dylan, man. That's just such a... If that happened to me, I'd be so fucked off. I'd have to seriously reconsider my options. I mean, I guess I could just move everything to the main channel. And that would be a pain in the ass, but... Huh. Who knows? Anyway. Destiny should hire him as foreign correspondent. Okay. Guys, I'm so tired. I'm so sorry. What the fuck, man? Normally I get a little bit perked up when I stream, but... I just don't... Cast report, ICC. Mate, I want to go to bed. That's what I want to do. I want to go for a fucking nap. But if I go for a nap now, it's basically like not far off of what would be a reasonable bedtime, so... What is this? Oh, yeah. No, let's do actually... Okay. Where is this full conversation? Hmm. Hang on. Did you see what Mahmoud Abbas said? Yeah. He said that Rafa's probably going to get attacked soon, right?
Feel like...
What is this clip? Which video is this coming from? MTG fighting with Timothy Snyder. I think it's on the hearing, isn't it? I do want to react to this. Oh, wait, that's 2 years ago. What? Where's the fucking video? I know where to go, don't worry. Mm. Somehow, when Dylan watched this interaction, he managed to squeeze like hours out of it, like 3 hours. So what a... Hang on. Communist Party, political warfare. He's a certified yapper. He does yap. It's this, though, isn't it? Defending America from CCP, communist warfare. I think this was where the interactions happened. I think the Timothy Snyder segments are... There are 2 of them, right? This is just Congress stuff. There he is. Where does he fight with MTG? Oh, there's AOC. Queen. There she is. Holding up memes. The Azov Battalion. Watch this YouTube video. Oh, God. I guess this is where they fight. Okay, we'll do that at some point in a minute. Do you think pro-Palestine groups can oppose the October 7th massacre? I know they often build big coalitions of different kinds of pro-Palestine. No, they can and should. I don't think a pro-Palestine movement, especially in the West, I don't think pro-Palestine advocacy is complete without at least some level of understanding and empathy for Israelis. I just don't think it's possible. And people like Rashid Khalidi, like some of them understand that, because if any free Palestine that there is, it's going to involve Israel on the other end of the table, right? Whether it's your 2 states or your binational 1 state or whatever the fuck, right? Like, and as much bridging that can be done between those 2 perspectives, the better, right? Just saying. And if you disagree, you're wrong. I'm so sorry. Why do I need to watch this, David? Yes, Ilhan Omar said that even if the Jews are pro-genocide or anti... Okay.
Do you think this will translate to the Jewish students who are facing anti-Semitism here on campus?
So I actually met a lot of Jewish students that are in the encampment, and I think it is really unfortunate that people don't care about the fact that all Jewish kids should be kept safe and that we should not have to tolerate anti-Semitism or bigotry for all Jewish students, whether they are pro-genocide or anti-genocide.
Daniel Katz is... Do you think this will translate...
It's just a really dumb sentence. I don't... How would a 1-state solution work? I guess... I have no fucking idea. Well, the borders wouldn't be an issue because it would just be river to the sea. They would give voting rights to the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. Whatever that constitution would entail, I have no idea. There'd have to be a lot of trust, a lot of... Anyway, sorry, don't care about that. Fuck. What's this?
To a young progressive.
Hmm. Hmm. One state seems so unlikely it's not even worth debating. If you want to argue for it, whatever. But yeah, the fact is that it's the least popular option for both sides. One state, like one state with equal rights, one state for two people is the least popular option for both sides. One state for one people, Israel. There are lots of Israelis and Palestinians who love that. They just obviously want one state for their people, right? Yeah, but it's mostly for Western kids. Yeah, it's for staying in cafes. I think that's most of it. But still, I mean, it's not like you. The settlements make two states very, very hard. Okay, so for me, I think like if a Mandela-esque Palestinian leader came up and there was a genuine offer for it from the Palestinian side, I would support that. I would, if they actually say it and they mean it, like, yeah, we want to share this land, we want peace, reconciliation, nation building, not revenge and fucking evictions and expulsions and re-education camps or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, fucking go, yeah. Extend the olive tree or whatever the fuck they say. Anyway. I want to show you this clip that I saw from AOC talking to Mehdi Hassan. What do you say to a young progressive or an Arab American who says to you, I just can't vote for Biden again after what he's enabled in Gaza? Okay.
What do you say to a young progressive or an
Volume.
Arab American who says to you, I just can't vote for Biden again after what he's enabled in Gaza? What do you say to them?
I mean, I think everyone comes to
Leftist audio.
this prospect and this conversation with a different history, different background, what they bring. You know, for an individual Palestinian American that has had their family killed, there is nothing, I mean, I am not here to lecture anyone. I also think that this election is more, in my personal view, I believe this election is about more than the president. And also, it's not just one election that's happening. We're having hundreds of elections.
Yes.
The balance of Congress, the balance of the House, the balance of the Senate, and the presidency. And I have a vested interest in protecting democracy, not just here domestically, but globally. And it isn't, I truly do not believe this as a lesser of two evils type of situation. I think about what conditions do I want to be organizing under in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
We can look at both of these individuals oppositionally as well, depending on what issue you have. But I would rather, even in places of stark disagreement, I would rather be organizing under the conditions of Biden as an opponent on an issue than Trump, who is not, he seeks to dismantle American democracy. And I am taking that personally very seriously, because we will not be able to organize for any movement towards anything if we are facing the jailing of dissidents. I mean, this is the kind of authoritarianism that he threatens.
Fascism.
And we have to take it seriously.
I think that is a fairly good answer. I probably differ from her in the sense that I think it is actually worth stressing the differences between Biden and Trump, even on Palestine, because they are just stark enough that it's worth talking about. I also think that especially if you're a pro-Palestinian protester, you are protesting on, you can protest on one playing field or another. You can protest on a playing field where Biden is in office, and Biden actually does seem to care at least a little bit about what the left-leaning people in America think, because they are, at least in part, his voters. I don't think the far left makes up as much of a proportion of Biden's vote as they would maybe like to think. I think Biden is probably in a situation where he thinks that if he appeases the far left too much, he will lose centrists and moderates who are far more populist than the far left. Populist, not populist. Anyway. But I think it is worth rattling off some of those differences, right? Like we've done this before. We know that Biden has been at the center of a lot of these humanitarian aid calls and increasing the amount of humanitarian aid and increasing the number of trucks and smoothing out cooperation between Israel and the aid organizations. And Trump has not spoken about aid once since the war started, really. He has not really been, he hasn't spoken that much about or at all about the humanitarian issue, apart from that I think Trump has now started saying Genocide Joe. That's Trump's contribution to the humanitarian situation, is that he thinks the suffering in Gaza is worth exploiting to call Biden names. Biden has been the one talking about ceasefires constantly and constantly trying to push them through and constantly trying to pressure Israel and to a lesser degree, I guess, Hamas to follow through with one. Again, Trump has not spoken about ceasefire once. His contribution to this discussion is you have to finish the war. Trump's TLDR is finish the job. And that's not even to mention their position on Israel-Palestine in general. Biden supports a two-state solution. Biden has taken executive action against settlements or settlers and outposters. Biden has increased funding to Palestinians that Trump had previously cut, including funding to UNRWA, actually, hundreds of millions of dollars. And Trump wants to turn the prospective state of Palestine into a disjointed, disconnected, discontiguous Bantustan with that also includes a ethnic cleansing of Israeli Arabs who live in the Triangle area and sending them off to the West Bank, as well as giving up East Jerusalem and basically just taking one or two neighborhoods from the edge of East Jerusalem and renaming it Al-Quds as a kind of token Jerusalem, like a commiserations Jerusalem for the Palestinians. There's pretty marked differences. And given that Biden has gone from saying not that much about Palestine at all about 6 months ago to confronting Israel to a higher degree than any president since Bush Sr. in the early 90s. Easily. That's kind of someone that you want to think is worth keeping in office. But it also means that, like, it's not, the way she said that, it's not just Trump versus Biden. America actually has pretty effective separation of powers across the states and across the courts and the, like, separation of power between the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. So it's like, it's the Democratic Party versus the Republican Party. And I mean, if AOC is going to say that, like, maybe you just, like, the Palestinian issue is written off. And I think what I want to do is maybe just look at more issues where it's really worth pointing out the stark differences between Trump and Biden, or between the Democratic Party and the Republicans. Because, I don't know. And it made me think, I've been meaning to do this for a little while, was actually comparing them on abortion. Because when people talk about abortion under the Democratic Party or the Republicans, I feel like there's been a common lefty talking point, which is to say that we got Biden in and Roe v. Wade got overturned anyway. But again, that is a misunderstanding of how the three branches work. Roe v. Wade was overturned by a majority conservative Supreme Court. And the reason we have that balance in the Supreme Court is because when Hillary lost the election, there were, was it 2 Supreme Court justices or was it 3? Anyway, I was either 2 or 3 Supreme Court justices were incredibly old when Trump took office, and they both died when Trump was in office. 3, sorry. And they died. So when Trump was in office and those justices die, he gets to choose the next justices. And that's where you get, what's her face? Amy Coney Barrett, right? 1 retired. Yes, 2 died. Yeah. So really, one was Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was replaced by Amy Coney Barrett. So that's why Roe v. Wade got overturned. Roe v. Wade got overturned because we had a Republican in office when those 3 Supreme Court justices left, when 2 of them died, when 1 retired. And looking at that, the overturning of Roe v. Wade has actually shown how sharp that difference is when it comes to a pretty fundamental human right, I would consider, like the right to an abortion. Trump, his position on abortion it's kind of weird because we know that Trump is kind of a degenerate, like a bit of a philanderer, a bit of a shagger, right? He does flip flop quite a bit on whether or not he wants a national ban. He has occasionally in conversations spoken about how 16 weeks seems fair or whatever. But at the end of the day, he's an opportunist. Trump takes full credit for the ending of Roe v. Wade because he knows that's where his voters go at the end of the day. He takes full credit for it. He is. There's been kind of flirting with the idea of a national ban. Obviously, they can't do that now because they're not in office. But so far, with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, we have 14 states with almost total bans. I think there are 7 more of these states have restrictions that wouldn't have been allowed if Roe v. Wade were still in place. But this is pretty widespread. And you look at this as like, for one example, maybe let's go look at Louisiana. Abortion completely banned with very limited exceptions. State constitution explicitly excludes abortion rights. Patients forced to make 2 trips for one in-person counseling and another at least 24 hours later for the abortion. Parents forced to get an ultrasound even if medically unnecessary. Like do they just want to pull the heartstrings of people who are seeking out an abortion? Parental consent required for a minor's abortion. So it's like they keep on, only physicians can provide abortions and not other qualified healthcare professionals. Unnecessary regulations are enforced and designed to shutter abortion clinics without basis in medical standards. This is it's pretty wide stretching. And then also you have all these weird, potential heartbeat bills and things like that, where most people don't even know they're pregnant by the time you reach the heartbeat thing. So, and it's also actually the really interesting thing about Roe v. Wade being overturned is that it revealed 2 things. One is that it kind of showed that the national debate on abortion hasn't completely been won. I think the majority of Americans do support abortion, but at a state level, that debate has not been fully won. And it shows you what the logical conclusions of some of those abortion debates are. Like when abortion is up for debate and when you're in a pro-life area, then those debate hypotheticals that people have when they argue about pro-life, pro-choice actually come into place. For example, there's one debate argument you can make, which is it's just kind of intuitive. It's like an optical debate point, which is when you say, let's say you are in a burning building and there are 100 IVF tubes and one 1.5-year-old infant baby. But you can only save one. You can save 100 tubes or the baby. And if you're pro-life, if you think that a fertilized egg is a life, just as much as an adult's life, you would have to save the tubes, right? You'd have to rescue the tubes. And then I guess you just have to carry them out whilst the baby is getting toasted. Yeah. But that's not even like a debate hypothetical. Again, it matters to have these debates because it turns out that Alabama, we've spoken about this before, that Alabama ruling just recently this year said that there were 3 couples who had frozen embryos and they were accidentally destroyed. And an Alabama ruling found that those 3 couples were allowed to pursue wrongful death lawsuits. And then these IVF clinics were like, oh God. So accidents happen with IVF and people can sue us for wrongful death if we do it. So why would we do IVF? Fuck that. And that's what they did. The 3 largest clinics in Alabama paused their IVF services. They just produced a total chilling effect on IVF. Another debate argument that has also seemed to transcribe into reality is contraception, because not all contraception stops fertilization. Some contraception works in a way that stops the egg from implanting into the womb. I think it's to do with, I can't remember exactly, but it's something to do with whatever's in the womb that the egg attaches to and implants. I think contraception reduces that or something. I don't know. But it stops the egg from implanting successfully into the womb. But again, that's not what life apparently doesn't begin when you're already a unique genetic code when you're implanted into the womb. The life would begin when it's a fertilized egg, not when it implants. So that would make some contraceptive measures murder. So again, like, because the implantation happens after conception. So a Nevada governor, amongst others, Republicans in the United States, have again, this guy vetoed a right to contraception bill last year, conflating it with abortion. And again, logically speaking, if you are pro-life, if you believe life begins at conception, that is logically consistent. So not only is abortion under threat, but so is IVF and contraception. Contrast with Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. Biden signed an executive order after Roe v. Wade was overturned, again, to try and enforce as much as they could with executive orders. They're limited, but to protect and support patients who are traveling out of state for medical care, because obviously that's going to become a thing. People are going to have to move out of state for abortions, to protect access to contraception. I think helping ensure that the ACA guarantees free birth control and contraceptive counseling, strengthening privacy protections for doctors and patients, and at the state level, the debate over abortion has had to be reignited, and people have had to just debate for abortion rights. And obviously, the more Democrats that are in a state, the more chance that debate has of being won on the Democratic side. So Ohio, which was a Republican state or Republican majority House and Senate, they still managed to pass abortion rights because there were at least enough Democrats there to get enough moderate Republicans over there to pass abortion protections. And where there is a significant or sufficient Democrat presence, they've been able to do this quite a few places across the country. So that's a really good way to put it, I think, from AOC at the beginning, that it's not really the difference between Trump and Biden, although there are large differences. It's a country with three branches. It's the Democratic Party versus the Republicans. And if you're really saying that over this one issue in Gaza, where again there are still very marked differences between Trump and Biden, that everything else just gets to go down the drain as well. I just think that's a really like you need to vote for the Democratic Party in America. And also the fact that not to mention all of Trump's threats to democracy and the whatever else, every election that he loses is fake. Yeah, come on. Anyway. But I don't know, I just thought that was really interesting to me. It was really interesting to me to see how that pro-life discussion actually has translated into real-life politics. Like, I don't think people really understand, and it's also not to mention, like, you don't even need to make the philosophical arguments necessarily about right to choose, like, your bodily autonomy. Does anyone really have the right to physically use their body, like, to attach themselves to your body in any way? Some would argue yes, some would argue no. Does life really begin at conception? Like, do we really value someone just because of their genetic code? Like gene expression can still continue after you're dead. So, like, do we really value? Is that like as someone who's dead but there's still gene activity going on? Does that mean that they're really still alive? I would probably say no. I feel like your human consciousness is quite an important variable. More so than heartbeats or anything else, because that's you think, therefore you are. But there's also a practical argument. There's also a very just standard political argument, which is that it doesn't seem to be that much evidence that anti-abortion laws stop abortions, especially now because we are long past the days of coat hangers and shady doctors and all that, because in the pharmaceutical industry, like right now, what a lot of people do is they seek pharmaceutical options to abortion as well that are very, very hard to control for, because it's like, especially in America, right? So yeah, like there are so many horrible ramifications, and this all came from Trump winning in 2016. Like the amount of damage that a president Trump can inflict, even years after they're out of office, they can set things in motion like that, because obviously it was Trump's Supreme Court justice picks that resulted in that decision taking place under Biden's presidency. Biden couldn't kick the court justices out, so he couldn't pack the courts, because if you pack the courts, then everyone does it. So, anyway, that's just my opinion. Okay. So I'll probably put that up again. I'll probably put that up with my... I feel like doing this more often. I feel like doing a little Biden v. Trump, Democrats versus Republicans series. Maybe we can have a whole compilation of them for the end, you know? Anyway, there you go. Satisfied? Who needs an abortion where you can send your kid to Iraq? Good one. Good one. Also, I will say, as an arm of progressive victory. Listen, you guys. Hey, I'm talking to you, okay? You guys, you. Get out, sitting in your fucking wank hammocks, in your shorts. Listen, I know how you guys feel, okay? I know you're all tired of having really strong, based, well-informed opinions on politics. I know you're all tired of being the smartest person in the room whenever people talk about politics. I know you're tired of humiliating your dad, your mum, your uncle, your pedo uncle, and your annoying aunt in political arguments at Christmas dinner or Ramadan or whatever the fuck you guys do, Passover. I know you're tired of winning every argument on Twitter on your little shitty fucking keyboards. But at the end of the day, you also have to do stuff, okay? I know some of you want to do stuff. So I'm going to give you a few suggestions, okay? Try for one. You're in New York, Progressive Victory. They're hosting a canvassing event, you guys. A canvassing event. You know that thing I did where I was going around knocking doors, talking to people? I can do it. And I'm autistic and shy and Scottish. I'm an imposter. They let me do it. It was fine. American boomers, they were nice to me. All right, look. June 22nd, 23rd. Canvassing event in Yonkers, New York. I didn't even know Yonkers was a thing. For the Jamal Bowman campaign. Do you need prior political experience? No! You'll get training. I didn't know how to canvass. You know what they did? They sat us down, and this really cool, like, little Zoomer dude with a clipboard was like, hey, you, here's how you canvass. I was like, oh, okay. Huh. What should I bring? Shoes, water, phone, a positive attitude. Listen, I know you guys have positive attitudes dripping out your ears, okay? I know you guys have that. No problem. Okay? So if you want to go to that, June 22nd, 23rd, follow this link, okay? Smash all of those boxes that need your information and your contact details and all that stuff, okay? They can tell you, you can tell them when you're available. Tell them if it's your first time, you know, they'll treat you nice. Accommodations. I think if you're actually quick enough, you might get some assistance with accommodation. You might. First come, first served kind of thing, I imagine. If you can't, New York's too far away from you. You're too shy, whatever. Well, I think there's also a... What is this for? Hang on. Oh, this is just a donation thing. Sorry, hang on. You can do this as well, okay. I know you're sick of donating to me, so... Also, I think if this doesn't work, there are opportunities as well for phone banking. So you can mention that if you're going forward with this. You know, like that Progressive Victory actually letting volunteers do phone banking now as well. Lastly, If you want to be a canvassing volunteer, you can do that too. Because when we were there in Ohio, there were these people who were kind of like the directors, like the little leaders, and they would sit you down and they'd tell you how to canvass, and they would make sure that no one was hitting the same neighborhood twice and all that kind of shit. Like, yeah, you can do that too. So if you're feeling important, if you feel like I'm an important main character, you can go do that too, okay? With that form. Good? Good. Don't listen. Hey, chat. Don't be an Americant, okay? Be an American. All right, fuck. Nice one. What? Can you canvass for Lebanon elections? You can try. You have stiff competition for Lebanon elections. Nasrallah is a very good public speaker. I'm just saying. Okay. What's your general opinion on the squad? Don't know. So they say some good things. They say some cringe. It's probably good. It's good to have that little wing of the party. Bit of variety. Bit of perspective. Americant. I thought you said something else, not PG. Oh, definitely don't be an Americunt. Americans don't like that word. Makes them sad. Sadly, all your viewers are Swedish and it was for nothing. Oh man, I'm so tired. Hang on. Isn't Sunday usually your off day anyway? Yeah, but I had some stuff I wanted to do. I should have done this stuff earlier in the day, in the week is what I should have done, but I didn't. Also, I just didn't really have much going on today, so I just felt like it. I might take tomorrow off though. Recharge my social battery. My much needed recharge, obviously. Anyway. What is this? When Russia is your neighbor. Okay.
I am Ukrainian, and this is my car. I am Ukrainian, and this is my church. I am Ukrainian, and this is my bridge. I am Ukrainian, and this is my gas station. I am Ukrainian, and this is my school. I am Ukrainian, and this is my car. I am Ukrainian, and this is my church.
Oh, it looped.
And this is my
okay, good one. And to be fair, she owns a lot of things. Why does she own so many things? Who gave this person a bridge? It's a bit young to be owning a bridge. Also, fucking hell, chat. Do I even... Okay, I'm sorry. Listen, I know I just gave you this whole spiel about going to canvassing and meeting people, potentially. Maybe you might even meet people you like. Okay, holy fuck! Just be fucking normal around women, okay? It's not even... I don't care if you're like, oh, but just being anonymous right now, though. I'm not like this in real life. I don't care. I don't give a fuck, okay? You know, there are women, like, in this chat, right? And they feel weird when... like, when you guys do that every single fucking time. A human female who owns lots of property, apparently. Bridge, gas station, school, whatever. Like, fuck. Oh, God. I just need to... You guys need better training. There's a lack of training. Jesus Christ. Okay. Anyway. What was the point in this video? Oh, yeah. MTG. Don't know how this happened. I guess there's like a hearing. And the GOP oversight channel has named it Defending America from the Chinese Communist Party's Political Welfare. Okay. A lot of loaded language. And apparently Timothy Snyder was present here. Yeah, he was. The historian guy who's like very pro-Ukraine. Does all the Yale lectures about Ukraine, which are pretty decent. And I think MTG debated him on Ukraine. And I'm like, it's not very often where a deranged partisan disinformation merchant will actually confront someone who actually knows what they're talking about, right? Like, or clashed with them or something, but but we'll see. We'll see how it went. I don't know if they actually confront each other directly or if it's just their statements that go and they kind of like talk past each other, but she does have a bit of fight in her. She's scrappy for sure. Anyway.
Chair now recognizes Professor Snyder.
Thank you very much, Mr. Comer. I appreciate your recognition of me as a historian. I do not have the nimble ability that members and staffers do to leap from topic to topic. I'm pleased I won't be asked to speak about appliances today. Our subject is disinformation. It's useful as a historian to be in a gathering like this one because one hears the insights of colleagues and recognizes that these are themes which we've known about for decades. I wrote a book about Soviet counterintelligence and active measures, about the institutions which the Chinese Communist Party modeled. I wrote another book about Russian counterintelligence and active measures in the 2010s, which serves as a model for China today. I want to take the term political warfare seriously and look at it all the way down, the way the Chinese themselves do. If we take political warfare seriously, we recognize that it only works if we take into account the overall context and take into account, as Mr. Comer himself said, our own role in it. Political warfare only works insofar as it works through us. The event in the world context about which we have to be aware, speaking as we are in April of 2024, is the war in Ukraine. One cannot possibly understand Chinese political warfare without understanding the intense political significance that this war has for China.
Hey, Pasta, thanks for the 20 Swedish. 20 Swedish battery power. Oh, listen, it's strong, okay?
Right now. In this war is at stake international order as such, which China wishes to change. In this war is at stake the reputation of democracy, which China wishes to bring down. In this war is at stake alliance structures, both in Europe and in Asia, which China seeks to damage. And in this war at stake is also the Ukrainian deterrence of Taiwan. These are all key Chinese interests. Therefore, to separate a discussion of Chinese political warfare from the actual kinetic war which is taking place in Ukraine, the most significant war of this century and the most significant war since 1945 must be a category error. No actual Chinese participant in political warfare would make that mistake, and I urge you not to make that mistake. Chinese propaganda about this war rides Russian propaganda, both in its methods and in its themes and its particular tropes. If we follow Chinese propaganda about the ongoing Ukraine war, we notice a certain pattern, which is that the political warfare themes, which, as colleagues have quite rightly said, are meant to pass through us, have in fact done so. If we take the example of Chinese state media and Group 912 of the Ministry of Public Security, we notice the following themes. First, Ukrainians are Nazis, a Russian theme picked up by China, echoed on the House floor. Second, it's all about NATO enlargement, a Russian theme picked up by China. Third, Ukraine is corrupt, a Russian theme picked up by China.
I can see why it's funny that the video is called this now, because obviously the GOP would think that they're fighting against the CCP, even though it's MTG is going to be the one who is spewing Chinese/Russian propaganda talking points about Ukraine. Oh, God. I don't really know when he says Chinese propaganda, when I hear Russian propaganda, I think RT, just general Russian state media. What does he say when he means Chinese propaganda and obviously being passed on to the Western world? What's he talking about? How does the CCP have an English speaker? Is it just TikTok? And the fucking algorithm for TikTok? Bots? Second thought. Well, obviously. Is it mostly TikTok? Is that like their main vessel? Influencers? Yeah. Okay. Or are they just talking about China's internal propaganda?
China, echoed on the House floor, echoed in the Senate by Senator Vance. Fourth, that
they have television over there too. That's not what I fucking asked, Midjet. I mean, what the fuck? I'm asking how Chinese propaganda bleeds into Western media, because I know that Russian propaganda comes into Western media through probably mainly RT, right? I'm just wondering what... Pat and Banana. I was wondering what we by Chinese, though. Do they have their equivalent? They don't have like a Chinese state media full of English speakers and like British politicians and Scottish politicians who have their own shows on the channel. There are 2 Scottish politicians. We're a small country. Why does RT have 2 Scottish politicians? George Galloway and Alex Salmond doing segments, having a place on their channel. But China seems to do it through what? Like Facebook and TikTok? And bots and shit. Okay. TikTok makes sense. Yeah. A bit more subtle.
That democracies can't do anything about Ukraine, that it's all pointless. A Russian theme echoed by Chinese propaganda picked up in House discussions. Fifth, we should pay attention to the border and not do anything about Ukraine. A Russian theme picked up by China, echoed in both chambers. Sixth, the Biden...
Yeah, I saw this. World Central Kitchen resumes aid on Monday. Paywalled. Sorry.
I'm Ukrainian.
Ah! Not you again. Oh no, quick, before all the... Oh God, before chat, oh no. Oh no, before they get a chance. Before they get a chance to pull out their 17th cum rag of the day. What? Is it the fucking back button? What? Bruh! Where is it? What happened to that? Did it just disappear? Oh, here. All right. Whew. Okay. Ooh. The wank rags are safe, guys, okay? God.
Biden bribe, a Russian theme picked up and echoed by China, discussed in this very chamber. These are all Chinese attempts to do exactly what colleagues have defined political warfare as doing, to divide Americans, to make Americans weak, but also to draw Americans away from what is essentially taking place. Were one to be serious about Chinese political warfare, one would have to take into account the overall historical moment, the war in Ukraine, how important...
World Central Kitchen will resume aid work on Monday. 3 days after an emotional ceremony at Washington National Cathedral, in which World Central Kitchen celebrated the 7 workers killed in an Israeli airstrike, the organization announced it would resume operations in Gaza, where more than 1 million Palestinians face catastrophic levels of hunger. I wonder if them in Israel had a word, because one of the spokespeople for WCK literally said that she thought Israel was targeting aid workers. Why would they resume operations if they thought Israel was actually trying to kill them? Who was it that said, WCK, they are targeting aid workers? Was it Jose Andres who said it? Yeah. It was the founder. Was it? Yeah. Because he's built different. So what is he actually like? Yeah, I know you want to kill us, but we're gonna go back in and communicate with you anyway. Like, what? They're not gonna do this without communicating with the IDF. Or is he just doing that like hyper reality thing where I guess he has his rhetoric where he says that the IDF is like definitely targeting them as aid workers and all that. But then he's just gonna go back and send his workers in to do the job anyway. Because I guess he doesn't genuinely believe it. I don't no idea. Unless they've changed their arrangements. I will have to live with this the rest of my life. We'll all have to live with this the rest of our lives. Suspension of operations. They're going to open a high production kitchen, southern coast of Gaza, named after, I guess, one of the aid workers who died. Are they talking about communications with the IDF to do so? Even as it resumes operations, WCK continues to call for an independent third-party investigation of the IDF forces' attack on the humanitarian convoy. It will explore the maritime corridor. Okay. 4 days after the attack, Israel's military released the results of its internal investigation, said the attack was a serious violation of its policies, the result of errors, and was contrary to military procedures. It said 2 officers would be dismissed and commanders reprimanded, made no mention of legal action such as prosecutions. WCK responded by saying that the IDF cannot credibly investigate its own failure in Gaza. I always wonder about statements like this because it's kind of true that the broader IDF isn't, but it's not really. When people say investigating itself, it's like when people said that in the ballot counts in Maricopa County was an internal investigation, but the people doing the investigating are a completely different branch and a different body internally from the people who are being investigated. When they say investigate ourselves, they almost make it sound like it's like Lorna Box stands accused of crimes so foul, and then it's like, okay, well, Lorna Box is investigating independently, and he's found out that he's actually based and Sigma and smart and cute. But like, no, obviously there are different branches that don't necessarily have to back each other up, which is why I guess they found these answers, right? I guess the point is though, I don't think militaries typically allow other foreign bodies to investigate them though, do they? Unless it's like a criminal procedure. Like, I don't think it would be like the American military or any other military would allow another country to come in and do an investigation of their stuff, right? Like, I feel like the way they did it was like how any army would or state would do it, but okay. The chief executive said, "We've been forced to make a decision: stop feeding altogether during one of the worst hunger crises ever. Ending our operation that accounted for 62% of all international NGO aid." Or keep feeding, knowing that aid workers and civilians are being intimidated and killed. hard conversations. We must keep feeding. Okay. I don't know if it's anything about whether or not they'll be back in talks or communications with the IDF, but I imagine it's implied they would have to be. But, yeah.
That war is for China. The opportunities that war poses for China. Chinese political warfare includes praising members of this House who delay voting on Ukraine. Chinese political warfare includes the overall attempt to alter the system. For China, the war in Ukraine is a beautiful conjuncture to try to do just that. So, members, I would urge that we consider ourselves when we consider Chinese political warfare, because as Mr. Comer has quite rightly argued, political warfare only works when it works in an overall structure, and it only works when it gets us to do things which are not in our own interests. Thank you very much.
Chair now recognizes for the questioning segment of our hearing, Ms. McLean from Michigan for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to get back to the base of the hearing. I just want to make sure I'm in the right hearing, which is defending America from the Chinese Communist political party's political.
Oh, that's just what the whole session's called. Okay, interesting. Where is MTG? Oh, there's Snyder again? What else is he saying?
And so to focus,
attention to. I want to thank the member for bringing our attention to what is, of course, one of the absolute fundaments of intelligence practice and recruitment. Colleagues have quite correctly drawn attention to the ways in which new technology allows one government to reach another government or one government to reach another set of citizens. That's all very true. But a very classic vulnerability was, is, and will always remain financial vulnerabilities. And so the need, or the real or perceived need of, for example, a politician, the fact that a politician has made it known that that politician needs money, is a classic vulnerability which intelligence operatives from any major state would pursue. So the fact that, let's say, a president would make money while being president from Chinese businesses would be a a classic signal of vulnerability, yes?
The Constitution's framers were certainly concerned about foreign powers using bribes and payments to undermine the American democratic experiment. That is why they included in the Constitution the Foreign Emoluments Clause, which prohibits all federal office holders, including the president, from accepting any payment of, and here and I'm quoting, any kind whatsoever.
Right, he's talking to loads of people throughout this whole thing. He's doing like an AMA.
Whatsoever from any king, prince, or foreign state, close quote. Without seeking approval. Professor Snyder, could you explain why prohibiting the president from taking gifts from foreign leaders is an important safeguard for our democracy?
I thank the member for that reminder. It once again, it shows us how history can be useful. In the late 18th century, the American founders were also aware not only of the possibility of financial, but also psychological manipulation of our leaders. It speaks to a very fundamental issue. There are complex ways of manipulating leaders in another country. We've talked about some of those. One of the three forms of Chinese political warfare is psychological warfare. The very simplest form of psychological warfare is to put someone in your debt. And the simplest form of putting someone in your debt is by giving them money. So thank you for that clarification.
Okay, let's see though. I don't care. Maybe it's interesting, but I want to see Marjorie. That's what I want to see. Is that her? I see a big sign there. That looks like Marjorie. Surely. No? Oh, they all bring these things. They all bring their little infographics. Here she is. Let's go.
Constituents are depending on us to help them, not endanger them with racist rhetoric. As a proud member of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, my hope is that Congress will prioritize policies that affirm and protect the AAI members of our community, like the Southeast Asian Deportation Relief Act, and stop contributing to hateful acts against them. And finally, Professor Snyder, when political leaders normalize racist language that pits one group against another, does it make our country more or less safe?
As our adversaries know and seek to exploit, it makes us less safe.
Thank you. I yield back.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Green from Georgia.
Hey!
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this is a very important hearing we're having today, and I'd like to take a little time to respond to some misinformation that has been spread here. Mr. Snyder, you said in your opening statement that the fact that there are neo-Nazis in the Ukrainian military is disinformation, a disinformation trope, and a Russian denazification meme. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to...
She's rephrasing the argument. So she's saying that he said there are no Nazis in the Ukrainian army, not that it's... the argument is that there isn't a significant presence of them. Okay.
Submit for the record this 2021 Time Magazine article titled How a White Supremacist Militia Uses Facebook to Radicalize and Train New Members about the Ukrainian neo-Nazi Azov Battalion.
Bro, she hangs out with she's hung out with Fuentes and shit. What's she talking about? Worrying about white supremacy? Oh, God. The dissonance is so funny. Didn't she show up at one of the AFPAC events? Look, she had to disavow this later, but... Look at her. Look at her, she's a window licker. Anyway, let's see.
Objections ordered.
Thank you. Time also put together a piece only 3 years ago, and it's quite an extensive video that gives full information about the Nazis in Ukraine and their recruitment efforts that go all around the world. It's amazing to me that just in a few years' time, it's now considered...
Like the Azov battalion at most were like, what, 1,200 fighters? Maybe even less? And then they get assimilated into the Ukrainian army. A bunch of them, they get rid of their Nazi leader, that guy, what's his name called, Biletsky. They get rid of a lot of their imagery, like their weird Black Sun stuff, and they have they change their flags and everything. And then a bunch of them die in Mariupol, fighting to defend Mariupol. That's it. There are probably there'll be less of them now, obviously, because they fought in one of the worst battles, or probably the worst battle in the entire war, the siege of Mariupol. They still exist, but again, the question you always ask is is neo-Nazism a significant portion of the Ukrainian army? Like, is a significant portion of the Ukrainian army affected by neo-Nazis? And it seems to be no, because normally when Nazis get arms and large numbers, they tend to do Nazi things. They do pogroms, they burn down synagogues, they commit hate crimes against Jews, they commit massacres against Jews. Where the fuck is any of this? It's not happened at all. And they've been getting armed by the biggest, baddest military superpower in the world, the United States of America, God bless, and they haven't done any of that. It just seems to be that all they've been doing is fighting with the Russian troops. Apart from that, some of them, every now and then we see another photograph of a random Ukrainian soldier with a black sun on his armor. It's like, and then leftists go like, this just keeps happening. I can't believe this just keeps happening. It's like, okay, at what rate? Like, is there a percentage? Is there any statistical representation? Is there anything from the leadership that are endorsing this kind of messaging? Is there anything from any indication of any Nazi actions being followed through by this imagery? Or are you just looking at sparsely collected photographs of people with black suns on their armor in an army of 200,000 people? Like, is that all you have? And if your argument begins and ends it there, it's because you have nothing. You have nothing. And also, these are the same people who would concern troll and put up pictures of like one soldier in a fucking little trench with a black sun or a skull and crossbones, whatever, the SS thing. These are the same fucking window lickers, I'll say it again, who are dismissing every accusation of Hamas support or anti-Semitism at these protests as, well, bad apples. It's definitely not the organizers that are saying this stuff, or the leaders, or the fact that one of the student leaders at Columbia University literally said that every Zionist should die. Like, but apparently that, we'll just wave that under the rug, you know? Or even supporting Hamas themselves, who are, by the way, a lot more anti-Semitic and a lot more into things like the protocols and all this shit than like the Ukrainian army. But apparently, yeah, the double standard is just absolutely outrageous. Outrageous.
Considered misinformation to talk about the Nazis in Ukraine. I'd like to quote the article. It says that Ali Soufan, a security consultant and former FBI agent who has studied Azov Nazis, estimates that more than 17,000 foreign fighters have come to Ukraine over the past 6 years from 50 countries. According to Christopher Wray, the FBI director, he said that Azov has been recruiting and radicalizing and training American citizens for years. He also finished saying in his testimony to the U.S. Senate that American white supremacists are actually traveling overseas to train. This is an extremely concerning situation. I don't think anyone in the United States government, Americans, do not support actual Nazis or white supremacists. I know I certainly do not. And I can't understand why in just a short amount of time, this information that our own American media...
The right sector? I'm sorry, the right sector are dead. How did the right sector do in the last election? Like, no seats? I think it was like, what, 1 or 2% of the votes? Wait, hang on. Ukraine 2019 election results. There was one point where they, about maybe 10 years ago now, where they had close to 10% of the vote. But now they're, what? Svoboda? Yeah, what percentage of the vote do they have in 2019? Do they have a percentage? Are they even listed for the election results? Be for the parliamentary. How do they do in the parliamentary? 2.16%. As in they lost 5 seats. Well done. Good job, guys. All that Nazi money, that American Nazi money.
Media frequently talked about is no longer talked about. I'd like to point out also, here's an NBC article stating that Ukraine's Nazi problem is real. Mr. Snyder, do you see this headline? This is NBC News. They say that Ukraine's Nazi problem is real.
Bro, she's so fucking dishonest. Did he actually, what do you think he's saying? Do you think he said that there's not a single Nazi in Ukraine, or there's no Nazi presence in Ukraine? I don't think that's not what he said at all. I think the argument is that Ukraine is plagued by Nazism, and it's a legitimate cause for Putin to send troops into Ukraine to denazify the population. Anyway, let's see what he says.
Even if Putin's denazification claim is not. So even our own American media, unless you consider NBC or Time Magazine misinformation spreaders or disinformation media outlets, this is contrary to what you testified. And there's frequent pictures all over. Anybody can find them of Nazis. Here they are. This looks like something you'd see out of Hitler's Germany from Ukraine. And this is something that's extremely important to talk about. According to the Council of Europe, however, Ukraine is ranked well in the top half of countries in terms of how corrupt they are. In the last 5 years, Ukraine is ranked close to the countries like Gambia, Iran, Myanmar, and Sierra Leone in corruption. That's not very free and democratic company to keep. Ukraine has canceled their elections, arrested members of the press, not allowed different types of religion unless it goes along with the Ukrainian government. And right now, the biggest push in Washington, D.C. is to fund the Ukraine war with another $60 billion. And while we're talking about the CCP, I think it's extremely important to point out that our own wide open border is the most dangerous threat to our national security. According to CBP data, there have been 24,296 Chinese nationals enter the United States at the southern border just this year in 2024. I want you to know that's up 7,000.
The Republicans shot down the migration bill that was actually quite right-wing from Biden because, again, they don't give a fuck about solving the issue at the border. They care about using using immigration as a bludgeon to beat the Democrats with at the election. That's what they care about. They need an issue to fight on. If they actually even took any measures to push the border issue into the right direction, they'd have nothing to fight on. They'd have no grounds to fight on. It would just be an election campaign fought on how many genders there are and drag queen shows and apparently Nazis in Ukraine.
Percent since Biden took office in 2021, when only 342 Chinese nationals crossed our border. When we're talking about national security and talking about threats to...
I just thought how interesting it would have been if could Trump pull this. I don't even know if he could. He's a populist, so he could. If these pro-Palestine student protests continue to have prominence up until November, and given their rhetoric, remember what we used to say was stochastic violence and all that. It's like all it takes is one. What if between now and November we actually have a actual like pro-Hamas young person attack in America? I don't think we will. I don't think it's very likely. Maybe. I don't know. It's not impossible. Would Trump really ride that against Biden to say that here, you're the Democrats, the left, this is what the left supports. This is like the squad, and Ilhan Omar is saying that thing about Jews who are genocidal and not genocidal. I wonder, because right now I think Trump did call Biden Genocide Joe. So it seems to be that he is slightly leaning into the left-wing opposition to Biden because it's populist and Trump is populist. But I wonder if he would just flip and just go straight to the neocon hawk line if one of these pro-Palestine activists actually did something really violent besides setting themselves on fire, like actually hurting other people.
Through the United States, Congress needs to remember that our...
I'm just saying, it would be really interesting to see how Palestine is debated between Trump and Biden. Because I don't really know what angle Trump would do, because the right-wingers, like the actual just like right-wingers, like Ben Shapiro and shit, like the not MAGA right-wingers, or not like fully MAGA, Ben Shapiro is still kind of MAGA, they all believe that, what I mean to say is like the standard right Republican, like the Ben Shapiros of the world, who are very pro-Israel. They believe that Biden is caving into Hamas pressure when he talks about ceasefires, when he talks about aid, when he talks about sanctioning settlers. Like that's what they think of Biden. But the very far right of the Republican Party, the MAGAs, I don't actually know, because I feel like I'm seeing a lot of them doing like Holocaust denial and shit. So I wonder how Trump would spin that. I feel like if you were a standard right-winger, like a conventional right-winger, you would accuse Biden of caving into terrorist pressure or whatever by being slightly pro-Palestine. But I wonder if Trump might just go the other route and just do the, what would you call it? And just do the Genocide Joe thing. One of your viewers is on Destiny's stream. What? That's crazy, chat. Let's go. Hang on. And now everyone's popping in to say hi. Let's see. Must have just happened a few seconds ago. This guy, this actual
He was like, yeah,
sigmoid.
sure, fuck it, we'll chat.
I think the but
Yeah. You approach these.
Sure.
Oh, I heard it. We heard it. Oh, you got the black nail polish. me and this guy, right? Me and this guy, we're like that. All right, we got
to get them to see
Okay.
To get us out of here. Okay. And like the way in which that was brought about, the police that came here, the state troopers, they
Jesus. This might be the windiest interview,
maybe
so.
I'm making a sort of like
He's right now. He's just talking through all of the. He's just talking through all of the arrest stuff that basically happened. Nothing too dramatic happens in this interview, I don't think. But I have to play these full interviews, and you'll know why at the end of this one. Okay.
Oh.
maybe I'm name calling here, but they're calling me, going here with horses.
Is he going to get in trouble for talking to Stephen? Oh no, that's my prediction.
Cheating on the entirety of this plaza. Yeah, it was making more of a stink, no pun intended, than the people who were.
That's actually just the collective mouth breathing of all the pro-Hamas protesters that's causing that wind. Hey, good one, Lonerbuck.
From that second one.
What do you think when you're looking at the situation that's happening today in the Middle East between Israel and Palestine?
Sure.
What do you think the root cause is? Why do you think it's happening?
Say that again. What do you think?
Like the root cause is? Like, why do you think there's so much conflict between Israelis and Palestinians?
Okay, so like I know, so I get my dosage of politics based on. I'm not sure if you've spoken to Lonerbox before.
Yes. Lonerbox.
Okay, so I'm somewhat informed in terms of the recent ongoings of the last century. So.
How did you approach these students? Did they come to you, or did anyone invite them? It doesn't seem like these are hardcore ideologically inclined. They're just all out here. There's like a sit-in going in this direction, and I'm just kind of like walking up and asking if there's anybody who wants to chat, basically. Yeah.
Based on the information I'm not and obviously some skimming of the wiki and whatever information I get from people around me who are interested on the matter. But I mean,
I'm not necessarily interested in like the historical
causes,
like the most accurate. I just mean, what's like your feeling like right now? Like, what is the big issue?
So I think the occupation and the apartheid state, as ruled by many NGOs, I think that's what they say, news-oriented NGOs, that have looked at the situation in Israel and specifically the West Bank.
Were they familiar with you beforehand? This guy recognized me a little bit. Yeah, he was in a group of 3 people, and I asked any of them if they wanted to chat. Because
every Lonerbox viewer looks like this, by the way. When I think of you guys in chat, okay, show you what I imagine. I imagine this, okay? Something like that. Something along those lines. All right? Because
they had the keffeya things on. 2 of them said absolutely not. And he was like, yeah, sure, fuck it, we'll chat. Because he did recognize me, yeah.
Have you seen me? No, I have not seen you, Sev. I don't know what you look like.
And said,
probably exactly like this, though, right? That's what I'm thinking.
You guys are employing an apartheid state, and it's very analogous to that of what was going on in South Africa during its, the Afrikaner apartheid. So I look at that and say we can construct a social formation there that doesn't result in as much damage to the parties in question, especially the one that is sort of like getting an exponential amount of the force with respect to the other side.
One of the things, when we were talking a little bit off camera before I asked if you wanted to come and chat, you mentioned like a one-state solution being a potential solution for the current problems. Right. So obviously,
I'm not an expert though.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But I'm curious, on the Jewish side, the part that they always argue, the scary part for them is, well, if we create another Arab state, where am I?
It's funny, he says he watches me, but I don't think unless he's watched me like from a longer time ago. I used to speak a little bit more like this, but I wonder if Sev just DM'd me a picture of himself. He does look exactly like this guy. only in a keffiyeh and with a beard, and also completely different from this guy. I wonder if I wonder if he just looks I wonder what exactly he's been watching of me to be saying that. I mean, I don't deny the apartheid thing for the West Bank. You can absolutely call the West Bank at least apartheid conditions. I don't write off the one-state solution. I often say that it would be like the nicest one if everyone was up for it, if enough people were up for it. The only problem I have with the one-state solution is that neither side wants it. Like, that's it. Or when they say one-state solution, the only one-state solution you'd ever get the Jews to agree on or the Arabs to agree on is one where they are basically dominating the other one, right? Like, yeah. As in, they want one state for one people, their people, yeah. But, yeah.
minority,
If that
and they start
changes.
getting killed, like what is the protections for them at that point?
I get that, but I think that's a posteriori justification because that's sort of what was going on. That's sort of what's going on in the West Bank. Like I'm sure you feel, of course, like the shrinking of the map with respect to what what's considered Palestine and the proportions of its population with respect to Israelis. I would say like that is a valid concern, but is that not what you're doing right now with these people?
Well, I think
He's not a real Lonerbox viewer. He'd know Tiny knows you, and he'd call you Bonerbox if he was. That might be the case. It's actually, or he maybe just watched me from a bit like a longer time ago because I used to talk like this. So yeah, I used to be a bit more rigid. Andrew Tankersley, thanks for the $9.99. If Trump wins November, how much responsibility would you put on the far left if states like Michigan go red? Keep up the good work, Lonerbox. I don't know. I don't think you know what? I don't think the far left. I don't think they're powerful enough. I don't think they can sway the election. I just don't because they don't matter. They're not as popular as they think they are. They are loud, but I don't think they have the numbers to do it. And I think actually, if Biden loses, it won't be because the left didn't vote for him. It might be, no, I don't even think that. It might be because Biden might, and it depends if the Republicans push this line. If the Republicans, enough people can get convinced that Biden has been pushed too far left on Palestine for the American moderate, that might be a way to, but I don't think that'll happen either. Because I don't think that argument's very convincing. And you know what? I don't think Trump would make it. I think his messaging is, that's too complex for his messaging. Trump's messaging, Trump's just going to say Genocide Joe. This wouldn't have happened if I were president. That's what Trump will say. But I don't know.
One thing I'd be really curious to ask for future protests when these people are out is and I don't think I get a decent answer from any of these people. I don't necessarily blame them, but what would happen if a one-state solution happened? What are the chances that another genocide occurs? And what would you do about it? Like, if you were Jewish, would you feel like anything would...
That's not the question, Dustin, is how do you feel about the fact that no one wants it? How do you feel about the fact that it's the least popular option for Israelis and Palestinians? That's what you would ask, anyway.
Be done about it?
I need to find the fucking poll. Hang on. Because if you ask that question to a pro-Palestinian, you just sound like a fucking freak. You just... Because they just don't accept that. They just don't accept the fact that that's a threat. They just don't accept it. They think that as soon as the Arabs get their freedom, everything will stop. They'll stop fighting. They'll stop being mad. They'll stop wanting they'll stop being anti-Semitic. They'll stop denying the Holocaust. All of it. It all goes away as soon as you give them freedom. Because they are the biggest fucking downplayers of oppression at the end of the day. At least when it suits them to downplay the fucking impacts of oppression. Yeah. Type.
I need to pay this one.
Do you think we'll see far left violence soon, like Destiny said? It's most likely we'll see something, yeah. But I just don't. The difference is, I feel like when I see right-wing violence, it's from people who had nothing. And they got radicalized and they had nothing to look forward to. And it's usually they went through some kind of like grand emasculation or humiliation, right? Like they didn't get whatever job that they wanted, or they like lost a partner or whatever, or like they got outdone by their peers, or worse, by their relatives, right? Or by female relatives, right? Like that's a thing especially for a lot of radicals, like that's a thing. But for these far left ones, they actually have a lot to lose. That's why you see the incitement coming from the likes of that fucking student leader in Colombia, where they're like, kill all the Zionists. They shouldn't be allowed to exist, or shouldn't be allowed to exist in peace. Like they should die. And then they're like, I won't do any violence. And it's like, and then 1 minute later, they're talking about their plans to go to South America. It's like, oh, that's why you don't want to do any violence yourself. You just want other people to do it for you whilst you go backpacking in the fucking Amazon or the Andes or some bullshit, right? Yeah. Where you go and culturally appropriate some fucking tribes people. Yeah. But that's not everyone. Not every far leftist is privileged. Mathematically, yeah, you're probably going to see it, yeah. If the whole thing is stochastic messaging, intifada, pro-Hamas, Hezbollah, bomb Tel Aviv, dirty Zionists, go back to Europe, if all that is being pervasive enough, even if it's a small number of people, again, it only takes one. Yeah, I don't know. Probably. And I don't think it'll be someone just hurting themselves. The fact that the first big incident was a guy setting himself on fire is actually it's almost actually quite lucky that it was someone who just did that, who just did it to themselves rather than to anyone else. But, you know, who knows? Why is this interview need to be watched till the end? What happens? Is there drama?
I'll have this for my debate on the first.
I think the Jewish argument would be that it would be worse, that it would be like a mass killing.
I almost fucked up. I said it would be an actual genocide, but I caught myself really quick. Geez, yeah.
Now with these people?
Well, I think the Jewish argument would be that it would be worse, that it would be like a mass killing of hundreds of thousands of Jewish people. Or
you think the UN? I'm not trying to be contentious. You think the UN would endorse or allow it to happen?
So I think the scary thing for the Jewish people would be, it seems like they did allow it to happen in Yemen, they did allow it to happen in Syria.
Well, it's happened not just to the Jewish people there. I'm not saying...
No, that wasn't Jewish people, it was Arabs. Yeah, all of these places. Yeah. Up in Syria, there are hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, Yemen is more of a
and then Yemen also.
Sunni versus Shia issue. I'm basing myself, again, I'm throwing content with
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that it seems like there's a lot of turmoil.
It is interesting. One thing I think you should consider is... I'm not trying to make fun of anybody because everybody probably does this, okay? But these people have enough conviction about this particular thing that they're willing to go to protest and get arrested for it, right? Which I would say is a decent level of conviction. But they don't have that much background information on it or know that much at all about it, which is also interesting. So you've got very high levels of conviction with people that are willing to at least get I'd say performatively arrested, because none of these people are going to commit felonies and go to jail for fucking years or anything, or prison for years or anything. But they're at least willing to get arrested and be at these protests and these things without having any really solid background information on it at all. Which is, again, I'm sure a lot of protests do stuff like this, but interesting to think about.
Oil in the region where lots and lots of people have been killed.
I'm going to talk to Stephen. I'm going to intrude. Hello.
Any of that. Hello. What?
Just one thing. You said you had this. Your good question to the one-staters was what? There's going to be a genocide against the Jews, right? More or less.
Or I would just like to hear them engage with that. I'm curious what they would think.
Can I suggest a better question?
Sure.
How do people feel about the fact that one-state solution for two people is the least popular final settlement for both groups, including Palestinians? As in, you can ask Palestinians, how do you feel about two states or one state with equality?
With equal rights. I'm aware of what you're saying. Yeah. No, I know. That's another question I asked them too, yeah.
Because obviously the genocide thing, if you're talking to a leftist especially, is it's much easier for them to just write that off, because to them, instinctively, as soon as you end the oppression, then all the hatred will stop, right? That's kind of how they address that in their heads. But the fact that
that's a pretty wild line to take. I would like to hear them say that. I haven't heard anybody say that yet, but if they did, then maybe I would change my approach or something, but yeah.
Okay. Or I guess the other thing they say is that you just sound they'll say you sound like whatever, this didn't happen in South Africa, or I don't know, even though it did happen kind of in Zimbabwe. But yeah, you've got the polls for that, right? With the whole, when you ask Palestinians, yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Two-state, one state with equal rights, one state with a subjugated people, basically, yeah.
Yeah, because I think especially on left-wing terms, that's well, the Palestinians themselves don't really want it, so it's they'd rather have.
I think another interesting question is asking people. So you said you're anti-Zionist, not anti-Semitic, right? And everybody will say yes, of course. But then I'm curious. Sometimes I feel like people think that the support for Israel is a very minority position for Jewish people. But if you were to tell a person like that, hey, if I told you that 90% of Jews support the existence of Israel, which I think it's around that, it's 90% or more, how do you feel about that? Because it gets pretty hard to separate out the anti-Semitism and the anti-Zionism at that point, or like how do you feel about those people? And but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, if you look at the polling, the questions are always very like it's like a thriving Jewish state is essential to my Jewish identity, or it's like it's essential for the long-term future. And if you go to any country like France, Canada, fucking Russia, it's always like 60, 70, 80%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed that as well. I've noticed that there are a few like far left streamers. I've seen a couple of, I won't name names, but I've seen a couple of them like going through Twitter replies and things like that. They actually do think that most Jews oppose Zionism, like in the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's just like an unknown thing mostly. Anyway, all right, bye. Okay, I didn't even let him say bye back. Sorry.
So the idea that the Jewish people there feel like the UN would protect them, since the UN didn't seem to protect anybody else in the region. I don't know.
I
if they have a
mean,
feeling.
no, look.
When you say these protests are more of a social event rather than a political statement, yes, I think all of it is. When I talk about like the constellation, I'm mainly referring to social groups that have these shared beliefs. And if you're admitted into the social group, then you have a high level of conviction for everything that's part of that social group's belief system. You have to, even if you don't necessarily know where any of the beliefs came from.
There are valid concerns there, but I have to look at things from a pragmatic perspective. I think you would agree with that as well. In that, there might be edge cases, I think, ways in which that might deteriorate rapidly, but I don't think that justifies the current set of rules. And I think it's sort of like, how the old saying about democracy being the best war system, something along those lines. Yeah. Or in a similar way, I don't think we can have operating also really like a right-wing USA, right? Like government of Netanyahu, Ben Gvir, Small Church, having those coordinated government that's operating as a functional de facto ethno state, the way in which they recognize and prevented Palestinians.
You're gonna need to subtitle it, I guess. Yeah.
He's talking about like differences in how people in the West Bank are treated right now, basically. I don't know if you can hear well or not, but
Palestine and Israel. Okay. So there's like an economic gap there as well that we've been speaking of. And I guess like those circumstances that have come about from this sort of government cannot be accepted. And if there was a point in time and place for the 2-6.
Were these interviews off the cuff because of the sit-ins, or did you have a plan to go on campus? No, these were just off the cuff. I haven't even showered today. That's why my hair is so fucking messy and shit. I checked the subreddit, the UT subreddit. It's like, is nothing happening today? And I saw it was. I was like, oh, fuck it. So I just Ubered over here to go see if there's anything going on. I could chat with people, but yeah.
If there was a point in time and place for the 2-6 solution, I think Israel's actions in the last 2 decades have made that difficult, nigh impossible. I don't want to leave out the possibility. Right?
Yeah,
you got to look at things from a pragmatic perspective.
Are you alone, or did you bring a friend? I have a friend recording, but
for the last 2 decades, you feel like Israel has been kind of like their behavior hasn't been the best. You pointed to accurately that they do have a right-wing coalition government, and they have had for a while.
He's America mogging you. What? Who? Who's America mogging me? Huh? Right.
Why would you think over the past 2 decades do you feel like Israel has gone more right? Do you have any idea why?
So this is an interesting question because everybody seems to know what the Palestinians are mad, I guess, because of apartheid genocide. Right? So I asked this question. It's a pretty particular one. So I'm mining for information a little, but I'm not going to challenge if he doesn't give a good answer. But it is interesting. Like, could you think of a conceivable reason of why would Israeli citizens have gone more right in the last 2 decades? There's a very obvious, very easy, very good answer for this. But
they have had for a while. Why would you think over the past 2 decades do you feel like Israel has gone more right? Do you have any idea why?
I mean, yeah, I would say that there's different. I think there's definitely a focus on Netanyahu being a crucial element in this. In that from the beginning, I might be confusing the specific elements of that, but previous prime ministers and Netanyahu prior to being a prime minister were really fomenting Hamas as an organization. I mean, I do not condone wish Hamas was in power, but we're talking about 7 conditions that are brought about Hamas when you're talking about peaceful protests being set aside, where there's massive peaceful protests by the Palestinians, and those sort of conditions have led to a situation where Hamas is in power in a region where I might be mixing up the specifics, but 40%, 55% of the people are less than 15 or 18.
In Gaza, yes, they're very young.
So it's interesting, right? The obvious answer is the Second Intifada, right? Obviously, the Second Intifada super radicalized a lot of Israeli people, and threw a lot of people's desires for any sort of peaceful resolution completely out the window. But we're not even aware of that, which is a pretty monumental event in recent Israeli history. So the idea that we don't know about that is pretty big. But again, I don't expect people to be history majors or anything like that. But
population, so we can look at that and say, okay, they didn't vote or organize to have Hamas be power.
But it's interesting. It's also interesting because I think it says something about you, not about you. I think it says something when you take a step back and you try to think like, why are people thinking this particular thing, right? Why are people upset about this thing? If you, somebody in chat earlier asked a question, what advice would you give for knowing if your conviction matches your level of knowledge? I don't know. Ask yourself basic questions about like a particular thing. Do you feel like you know anything about it? Could you explain the other side? But yeah, like imagine like if a group of people are mad about something, so mad that they're protesting or going to war, whatever. There's got to be a reason, right? And if you have no idea at all, like, well, I mean, do you think they're monsters? Like, are Jews or Palestinians just like subhuman animal dogs who just like hate for no reason because of whatever? Like, or is there like there has to be a reason, right? You should wonder about that.
Because they're ethno-fascists. Anyway, hang on, I just need to... I need to send a DM, okay, guys? Apparently that's okay. I'm just going to type off stream. I hope he knows what I'm talking about.
And these regimes divide the coalition. They look at everything as perfect. They make it divided between PLO and Hamas. They're splitting up, dividing Congress into classic strategy. And in that way, they represent less of an opposition and there's less of a possibility for them to have a solution.
Did you confirm about the second intifada point? It might come up like in a different interview I do maybe, but I don't think so. Not really. No. Again, I'm not trying to be like critical or I'm not trying to challenge people hardcore. I'm just kind of like trying to get a vibe for like where your feelings at. Yeah.
And his cabinet themselves have like explicitly, they've explicitly looked at the situation and say we don't want there to be a two-state solution. There might be some signaling in that extent, but there's one
even part of the Likud platform that Netanyahu is part of. I think it's explicitly part of the charter.
It's interesting. Sometimes I'll help them out a little bit, but like there are stronger talking points than some of the anti-Israeli people even know. So they'll say things like, oh, like Netanyahu doesn't want a two-state solution, blah blah blah. The Likud charter literally says between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean, the only sovereign state that will exist is Israel. That's the party. Likud is the party that Netanyahu is a part of, the right-leaning party that forms a coalition right now. And they literally explicitly say they will never recognize in the charter like a Palestinian sovereign state. So. But people aren't even aware of like this talking point. You should know this. Easy talking point against
Netanyahu. They have
Netanyahu.
from river to the sea, only Israel
exactly.
State, so, yeah.
And I mean, saying this like this is of course not doing the they made certain, especially more recently, like religious, almost like evangelical in nature.
That's not true.
It's not a charter. It was a manifesto from the 70s. But I don't fucking care. They still stick to it, right? I don't know. Actually, they don't because they came out of Gaza. But they clearly want Judea and Samaria. Like, yeah, it's more like a fucking...
The Likud party, original party platform, 1977. The right of the Jewish people to the land of Israel, Eretz Israel. The right of the Jewish people to the land of Israel is eternal and indisputable and is linked with the right to security and peace. Therefore, Judea and Samaria, which is the West Bank essentially, will not be handed to any foreign administration. Between the sea and the Jordan, there will only be Israeli sovereignty. It's not from the charter. It's not from the charter. It's the original platform in 1977. Oh, is there like a difference? I would assume the original platform of your charter is similar. Is there? Okay, was there? My bad. Okay. Is there a Likud charter? I don't know if the parties have a charter. Okay, their original platform. But I'm pretty sure Netanyahu has reiterated he wouldn't want any sovereign Palestinian state as well. But
the children of the dark shadow or whatever, and then the Amalek.
Yeah. Kill their cattle, kill the children, So we're talking about like, I would say openly genocidal rhetoric. We don't have to talk about the Holocaust. We don't have to make justifications. But like, you could look at the Rwandan genocide, if not in scale, then certainly in rate, right? The rate at which it's taking place. We look at the fact that they're saying this could be going on for 10 years. Okay, so you're talking about 40,000 over 6 months. In 10 years, you maybe have a million people there. Half the Muslims are gone. I mean, I look at that and say, they have made conditions impossible for something like a two-state solution. Okay. And at least as I see, I might be wrong. Maybe the experts, maybe the top of the UN could engineer a solution. But I look at that and say, there's got to be. We're left with the only rational solution for the time being. The UN comes in and they have the best shot at making things work. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's an odds of that not working. But like,
I'm representing the Jewish side. That's not my own personal opinion. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm not calling you, IDF. I mean,
I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah, what's up?
Uh-oh.
So something that is
This is why we're watching it. Okay.
So I said I've been like kind of like looking in the background. So there are a few people now at this protest that have like seen me and they're like running around now like talking to a bunch of people. I think I caught them saying like don't talk to this guy or he's like trying to be disingenuous or something. So this guy oh no wait, I'm sorry. I don't think I've heard it yet. Forget it. I just tried to preempt this guy, but I think he actually just comes into chat. My bad. I gotta say that.
Hello.
Hello? What?
Just one thing. Oh shit, that's me.
Fine. You're ignoring the fact that they're claiming it's a genocide. If you don't at least try to show that that's not the case, nothing else really matters to them as long as they think a genocide is happening. Okay, maybe, I don't know. So he comes back in saying that we need to talk about the Holocaust, and that makes him think that he's like a super pro IDF person, and so that this gets weird for a second. But
wait, real quick, I guess, what you guys need to watch. I don't know if I want to like start getting. Oh yeah, no, you're good. No, he's on your side. Oh, okay. He's definitely on your side. Real quick,
They come in from the top rope and tell Destiny not to drink Coke. True.
One thing that somebody could take from your guys' like sentence here or the demonstrations you're doing, what would be like one message you guys would want people to take, I guess?
I'm not sure if I'm in a position to say that, so I'll take what I say with a solid way.
And it also doesn't have to be, again, I'm not looking for like I want 41% for West, but I'm just like a general feeling or message you want. Some message to your family or friends saw you, or like internationally, Biden saw like this demonstration. Like,
right.
Hopefully
I say, look, in terms of the geopolitical environment, Biden has a direct connection and direct line through which he can influence Netanyahu's decisions in terms of the several packages that have been sent to Israel, billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars, that need to be cut down. It needs to be regulated, conditioned in such a way that says, look, Netanyahu, what you're doing is abhorrent, and we can stop it at any time. As I think it was Bush Sr. did whenever there was calls of, like trepidation into the West Bank.
Good point.
So, like, you look at that and say, we have a
American missile, American muscle.
That goes directly to Biden and his cabinet.
Not missiles. That would be
stop funding what is tantamount to a genocide, as made evident at the very least if you take the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, ICJ, International Court of Justice. You take them at the word. We're talking about a potential genocide, very least. So you look at that and say,
oh no, he's this guy's not Lord of Fear. There's no fucking way. He was using me. He was using me as a pawn. He was using me to get into Dustin's good graces.
Right, that's the immediate thing that needs to change. And I think these protests are trying to signal that and tell Biden, look, you need to change that. Setting aside, pragmatic, like he's going to lose the Trump.
He's probably maybe seen like one of the main channel videos from a while ago. I don't know.
He has high odds of losing Trump. He keeps on running. Like from a moralistic perspective, he needs to stop funding. And that's what this protest is. That's what he's coming
Okay.
Oh no.
I think at the end of this video, I think a couple people come up to me. Oh, fuck. I don't know if my friend was recording. I think you're trying to turn it off. Fuck. Okay. A few people come up to me and they say, hey, we just want you to know you're not welcome here. None of these people want you here. None of these people like you. We're asking you to leave. We want you to go away. And then I think my friend wasn't recording. And then after they said that, I said this is a public area. I have as much right to be here as you do. So I'm going to continue to be here and talk to people as long as people want to talk to me. And I'm not going to leave. And I wanted footage of that. So I told her to record the people would. I think the thing got turned off. This is a 4-minute, 50-second video.
Record this. Wait. No. They actively told you that, like, some people just came up and said that you're not welcome here.
Yeah, but now they're talking and telling people not to talk to me. So now it's a little annoying because now these people that come up and talk to me, now they're walking around talking to every single person saying, don't talk to this guy. He's like Hasbro making pro-Zionist propaganda, which is now it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm not talking to anybody else, which is kind of annoying, but.
Okay, well, sure, on paper this is a public zone. Yeah.
This guy does take his media, twist what you're saying, and publish it, so I just wanted to warn you.
Another girl comes up and starts saying this. Yeah, you can hear, obviously, I think you heard that, yeah.
This guy does take his media, twist what you're saying, and publish it, so I just wanted to warn you. And then what he's saying is like,
yeah, literally post like full clips, full video things and everything, but okay.
Flip chipping, as it were.
Yeah.
Can I make it? Okay. Yeah, what's up? I think you can be genuine, right? I don't think, maybe I'm being too naive, but like, I think you can be genuine. So like, I don't know, I think you have a big platform.
Why do you rewind everything 10 seconds after you pause? It triggers the fuck out of me. Because you autistic fuck. If I stop a video and start talking in the middle of the fucking sentence and then I replay, it's starting right there and you might not even heard the beginning of the sentence. So I back up 5 or 10 seconds to like catch what I just paused to go back over. How, is that really that hard to understand?
Like, I don't know, I think you have a big platform, but like, I'm not trying to chastise you, but like, really look into this. I'm sure you have, but like, but like, I think you can make a pretty big influence, at least on the online, in the online domain. Also, like, I don't know, please, if you can, try to help make things different.
Would you say that you're as knowledgeable on the subject of Israel-Palestine as someone like a...
Fuck, I shouldn't have said comment. I was trying to be like pretty cautious. He brought up a tree.
I remember more stories.
Really? You think so?
Enormous.
Actually, I don't know how much he...
Gotta walk it back a little bit. Fucking morbid.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Gaza, the Inquisition to Martyrdom is a very bad book. I had a debate with him.
How many books have you written on Israel?
I've written many of them.
Okay, I don't think that's...
This is the only thing that I would ask you, okay? If you have this... By the way, I'm a random fucking YouTube guy, so I will tell you that I don't work as like a guy who's been studying for 4 years. You should be skeptical, okay? So I'm 100% agree with that, that's fine. But you were that I had a debate kind of with him?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you watch that entire debate?
Most of it, yeah. I think I fell asleep halfway.
This would be my question or my concern on that.
I'm sorry, I should say, I watched Hassan reacting to that.
Little, but that's close enough, yeah. My only question, my thing would be, is that genuinely, my knowledge foundation in this area is, it's going to be better than most normal people. For a scholar, I would imagine it's going to be pretty low. I think I said it when I went to that debate, that like, obviously I'm the newcomer here between Norm and definitely any.
So I try to do epistemic humility. Obviously, I'm a newcomer. I don't know as much as these people, of course.
Do you think that scholars are less knowledgeable?
I think he misunderstood me here, but like,
No, I'm saying I come against the newcomer. Like, all three of these guys, for sure, any probably Norm and probably are going to go fuck me. That's what I'm saying. Okay, yeah, but I'm definitely coming with the lower knowledge level of this area. Sure. The only question I would have then is that my knowledge is so poor, and if I know so little, why could Norm just shut down any talking about that?
Because you didn't really have good talking.
I had lots of good talking points.
I mean, a lot of it was just trying to shut down the conversation, correct?
Absolutely not. They were direct questions that challenged a lot of the narrative that Norm kind of posits about the Arab-Palestinian conflict. I'm sorry, the Arab-Israeli conflict. I feel like he gets really wrong. He didn't address any of those.
Look, man, I know that, like, you're a debater.
Well, but the fact comes first. I just don't debate. I mean, like, for instance, John 48, when they were...
I actually think it's great that this guy brought it up. actually quite interesting to see just like someone who disagrees with you actually challenging you on the spot there. Yeah.
Making their country. There was a partition. No. Okay, I think because I'm gonna go with the grain here on this one and say.
So it was interesting that as soon as this is the only time I think in the entirety of me being here that I wanted to, well, let's dive into like a particular factual thing and then the conversation. This is why before I wasn't trying to challenge him or anything, because I know that this happens when we start to push a little bit. Well, let's push in a little bit to the history of the facts. Then it's like, nope, I'm done. And then we're like completely, yeah. So this is why I avoided it up to this point.
I would ask if you can still film anybody here without their consent. Okay, I'm generally asking that. Generally, the keyword there is generally.
Well, so far we just don't like you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, debate, bro. Generally.
We consented to it.
Keep in mind also, I want to be really clear. You guys are in a public area. The goal of the protest is to be seen. So like having people film you is kind of like part of the protest, right? Like it's kind of weird to do a public protest.
There you go again. You're just twisting things around.
I really don't like I need to keep some things in mind. There's a lot of sayings that people use to just avoid like confronting something that's hard to confront, and this was one of them. Like, oh, you're debate broing, you're twisting things. Like, I didn't twist anything. What I just said was very, very, very clear. It's a public protest, and in public, part of it is being seen. That's the whole reason you protest.
You also, I don't think in the UK, I think you can film in a public space without other people's consent. The consent thing is just like an ethics thing or like a manners thing, but it's not like a legal issue. Anyway.
Public area, so people filming in public areas should probably be expected. And I was like, how's it twist? Like, really?
So you're just twisting things around. I'm calling it off. You don't like an Alan Dershowitz.
I've seen Dershowitz debate one time, and he was very impressive to me. And I think he might use like generally wacky shit. I don't know.
I think he's kind of like a fraudster too. I mean, I take it against all that you say.
I've only seen one debate with the Dershowitz guy. It might have been against Mark Finkelstein. I think he lost that debate. I don't know. I've seen limited things of the Dershowitz guy, and he just seems kind of weird to me. Or not, I shouldn't say weird. It's just not very. I don't know how to say. I don't know. He wasn't impressive at all. His debate skills, his knowledge, his whatever, just seemed like I don't know. But maybe I haven't seen the right stuff. I'm not sure. I think he's a total charlatan.
Okay, I would say
like Dershowitz, I wouldn't sign up with him either. I don't think I should him say. I feel like I watched him do one debate. It might have been with Finkelstein. I was not impressed with Dershowitz.
You're saying what you're saying about Finkelstein, and you still look at the Dershowitz debate, then even though Dershowitz is, he might be a fraudster.
A fraudster?
Fraudster.
Oh, maybe I don't know.
Please try to make a difference.
I don't know if my friend stopped recording here. I think at this part, because he said please try to make a difference. The guy was just like, I think he thought that I was kind of like harmful with some things I say, which I understand, and I'm sympathetic towards that position. But then I think I go on to explain where I'm like, listen, I do think there's harm being caused, and I wanted to explain like I think protests like this where people advocate very strongly for a particular thing they don't fully understand isn't healthy. It reminds me of Occupy Wall Street and Black Lives Matter, where there's a lot of energy and a lot of anger, but it wasn't directed at anything productive or constructive, so it just kind of dissipated and nothing came of it. But I don't know if any of that gets caught on camera. We just did. Dustin, I forgot to mention as well, what pushed me towards you more was when you got called out by Marquette. He attacked you, talked down to you, and you made amazing points and arguments, and he would just be asked you. It was a year ago. Wow, thanks, Ivan. Okay,
is this the...
that? Okay, and then I got two more.
Here's my frustration. Okay, this is my frustration.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, yeah, she starts recording again. Okay.
Oh, shit, we're going to see the
there's a lot
conversation.
Happened, but it's such an easy conflict to pick one side on, and then when you just pick one side, the other side is like, obviously fucking terrible. Well, there's a lot of people that are like anti-Zionist Jews. There's a lot of organizations.
There's Candace Owens. That doesn't mean
anything. Okay, but
like 90% of Jews support the existence of Israel.
Okay, but let's look at this. Like, are you equating, would you say Owens is Christian, right?
Yeah, she's the Norm Finkelstein of the black people, yes.
Okay, would you look at people who are like in Jewish peace, Jewish peace and say they're Christian?
I wouldn't say grifters, I say self-haters. I've seen a lot of cringe shit from that Jews from Peace Corps, but I don't really know enough about them to have like a very strong opinion. Also, I don't know all of them. I've only seen like broad things in demonstrations. They might. I don't like to make like concrete judgments. But I really dug into people, but it seems like there are people that I super disagree with.
So you think that anti-Zionist Jews are self-hating?
Feels like it. From all the ones that I've encountered so far, yeah, it feels like it. There might be some out there that also like a lot of people won't even talk to right-leaning people, as you can see. So I'm not even right-leaning, so fuck. I guess like the
Freudian slip on me.
Yeah, well, like the pro-Israeli side, I guess. It seems like a lot of people believe that. So there might be a lot of anti-Zionist Jews out there that have like really good rationale and aren't like self-hating, and I just don't represent any of them.
Even Orthodox Jews. There might be Orthodox Jews in America who are maybe clearly demarcating anti-Zionist.
Sure.
So I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to say is that like obviously it's not black and white, and I don't really know that, but like. I think people who are advocating for Palestinian...
Did he say Jew? Yeah, he said that the most anti-Zionist Jews are the ones that he's met. All the ones he's met are self-hating Jews, yeah, the anti-Zionist Jews. Yeah. It didn't really help that JVP had that sign with a bunch of Hebrew words on it, but they were all written backwards because they went from left to right. All right.
Are going to look at the state of affairs and say, we're not like here to cleanse the place of Jews.
Yeah, but it feels like if that happened, it doesn't come from here. That's the biggest issue.
I don't think so. I think
because when if you look at all like the cleansing of Jews through history, or even in the Israeli-Palestinian place, right? For the Nakba, right? Yeah. Jews there were about, I think it was over 700,000 Palestinians kind of scooted out. Should have quizzed every single person on what river into what sea. No, because I didn't want to. It's obvious I'm looking for gotchas. What I do. I'm not trying to look for gotchas. Hey, this post makes a lot of claims of a question with me. Would you be interested in going over some of what he says on stream sometimes? 150 to 430-ish. 150 to, I don't know what the fuck this is. Maybe.
I want the chaos. Where's the chaos?
But all the Jews that lived in the western Jordan River, they also got kicked out when Jordan took that land over. And there was a whole war. Yeah. Which, and to be clear, for the camera, in case anybody told me it was like way more Palestinians than it was Jewish people. I think like 2 orders of magnitude. I think like 5,000.
I think the Jewish refugee crisis was 70,000 in total, but again, a lot of it was internal displacement within Israel's borders as well, because they just moved from one settlement to one that was more surrounded by other Jewish settlements. Like they went inward or towards the coast. But I think it was around 70,000 people who had to move at some point. I can't remember exactly, like within the Israel-Palestine borders. Is that too many? Jerusalem? I don't know how many Jews got kicked out of East Jerusalem. Probably like a few thousand. I wonder.
But I'm just saying, it feels like people only ever address like a single side of the issue. You only talk about one side, whether you're like the crazy fucking Zionist people who don't talk to some, who will only talk about the bad things Palestinians do, or you talk to some Palestinian people who only talk about the bad things Israelis do.
Especially if we include Gaza. Well, there were barely any Jews in Gaza in the 48 war. The Jews in Gaza left in 29. They were evacuated by the British in 29.
Bad things happen to both sides. I just don't think you can look at that and immediately say, oh, it's a wash, you know? No, it's not that it's a wash. It's just like the Palestinians.
I think this is Austin.
That's undeniable. Because if you look at it, would you say that they are? For sure. Okay. In a lot of respects, yeah. Even people in the West Bank, yeah. But also the Jewish people, a lot of reasons feel like they're getting fucked over too. No one denies the Holocaust.
Also, I hate this Holocaust talking point. Like, oh, of course, the Holocaust. Bro, there's more things that have happened in history than just the fucking Holocaust, you know?
Really, the Holocaust. I mean, there's like a lot of. So, for instance, I asked you beyond that, a millennia of even by Palestinians. One of the questions I asked you was, I was curious, why do you feel like the government has gone kind of like right in the past 2 decades?
Oh, so I bring up, he missed an obvious answer here, which was the Second Intifada.
The reason why is because of the Second Intifada, which is basically like open warfare. Yes, you see that and say like that radicalization is a product of repression that came about prior.
Yeah, but see, it's always like when the Jews do something bad. I'm sorry, when the Palestinians do something bad, there's a good reason for it. But when the Jews do something bad, it's just because they're like being retaliatory. That's like in his mind, that's how it always works, and that's probably in the mind of everybody here. That's essentially how it works. Yeah.
The first Intifada was fairly peaceful, yeah. And it led to the Oslo Accords, which didn't really do anything. And then after the failures of Camp David, you get the Second Intifada, which was way more violent. But I think that the frustration on the Jewish part is that it feels like there is no like negotiation that should be had with Palestinians.
Do you think that do you think the right-wing coalition as it is anywhere near happy, willing to engage?
So here's, I understand what you're saying. Is Netanyahu going to be a partner for peace?
I don't think so. No,
this is what I would say. This is what I would say, okay? It feels like no, but democracies are very responsive to conditions on the ground, and I think that surprising things can happen. They can make leaders that you would never expect come to the table for peace. So, for instance, like Egypt, the guy, prime minister in Israel, who was like leader in the fucking era, which was like the terrorist fucking division of the pre-IDF nation, like Israeli fighting forces, right? So this is literally a terrorist leader, honestly, like, and everything, he would agree with it. Even when he gets back to President Carter, he would joke that, like, I know these terrorist actions, I've done them. But he was able to come to the table. But the reason I said that...
Didn't Heydrich talk about Palestine? I mean, there's that... Zizek always references this quote. I've never seen any strong source verifying it, but apparently once Reinhard Heydrich, who is one of the main architects of the Holocaust, said something about how he supports Zionism. I don't know, but it's like whether or not he actually did anything about it, or whether it was just like a lip service quote, or like I have no idea. But like I don't think I've ever seen it properly verified outside of just like weird random websites. Zizek has been repeating it for the last 10 years. I have no idea. I don't know if it amounted to anything, if Heydrich ever actually facilitated a transfer of Jews to Palestine. I think he was much more concerned with transferring them into death camps, but
the reason why he did that was because in Egypt, Sadat was a ruthless advocate for peace with Israel, and he would not be stopped. He went in front of the Israeli Knesset, he gave an impassioned speech, he could not ignore him. I'm saying that when I'm saying that even staunch right-wing Israeli leaders that are opposed to peace, when confronting these options, have to that.
But even domestically, Netanyahu is repressing democracy. So, like in terms of like his power grab works, like if you look at that and say,
I think one thing I need to do more. I need to do this. Hold on. I wouldn't do it here, but I'll keep this in mind for that. I need to make people acknowledge what I've just said. I notice that happens a lot where they don't really, they go on to the next question.
If he's domestic, like pulling the Trump, he
tried to. That got shut down, right? I don't think that actually made it through. But I don't like Netanyahu. I agree. He's not a good guy. I think he's a part of the peace. As right now, no. But like the Palestinians are, of course. Like Abbas isn't. Arafat, yeah. Sure. People are talking about I've never heard his name said. I've only read it. Is it Marguerite?
Fuck, I need to get this guy's name pronunciation correct.
Palestinians, even right now, he's still in jail, but in Israeli prison for his actual first second Intifada. But none of these people are usually strong partners for peace on the Palestinian side. I agree that they're not from the Israeli side right now, but they have traditionally.
But there have been, I think, many efforts from the Palestinians to do so. And I think the fact of the matter is, okay, setting aside that
Barghouti.
Hours of discussion. Even if that is the case, if I can grant you that there's no way they can an agreement from the inside, doesn't that further give credence to the notion that there has to be an external coordination to stop this from happening in the way that it is?
I think people have felt that, but I don't think it has to necessarily be an external thing. So like, even the Oslo Accords. Thank you.
What did he do?
Oh, so there've been like the reason why it was getting loud is because there are like groups of people that sort of like block off the protests. I guess like groups of people that were chatting it because they were telling people not to talk to me. They were trying to like block us off or something. But then I think that one of the protest leader people went up and started giving a speech about how there's like a Hasbara doing pro-Zionist guy here, and nobody should talk to him. Whatever you do, don't talk to this guy. He'll blah blah blah. And she was making a speech basically about me. Yeah.
So like,
Oh yeah, you can hear in the background actually. Sorry, I was listening back over there.
It is?
You can hear in the background.
Even if that is the case, I can grant you that
According to Wikipedia, in the Jerusalem Jewish quarter, it was about 2,000 Jews. Yeah, it wasn't that many in Jerusalem in particular, but I think most of the displacement that happened on the Jewish side from the 48 war was Jewish people within roughly like what's now Israel's borders who were in settlements, or maybe even some people in the West Bank who were in sparsely populated areas or settlements that were surrounded by Arab areas, or people who were getting attacked on the roads who moved inwards to Israel because it was safer when you were in more densely populated Jewish areas. That's what I thought most of the displacement was. So it was literally just people moving from a part of Israel to another part of Israel, right? Yeah.
That there's no way to get an agreement from the inside. Doesn't that further give credence to the notion that there has to be an external coordination to stop this from happening in the way that it is?
I think people have felt that, but I don't think it has to necessarily be an external thing. So like, even the Oslo Accords. Thank you.
Thank you. Hasboro.
When they were initially having conversations between the Palestinians and the Israelis, those conversations started in secret without a mediator. Make sometimes negotiating secret, so they don't necessarily need a mediator. But that's regardless. I think that the issue is that like if you had
W to this kid for not listening to other losers. This kid's Arab descent, isn't he? He seems like because he said Gaza. He said Gaza. So he calls it like I can't even fucking. He called Gaza. He said Gaza the way an Arab would say it. Yeah. Which is he's not Arab, or maybe he just learned that on TikTok. Okay. But I'm sorry. Bad Bunny says it that way too. Well, last I saw, she was practicing saying it that way, not doing it very well.
this is what I'll say for like the Gaza Strip, okay? And I know it sounds bad, but like if Hamas had built, for instance, like bomb shelters for their people instead of just building like tunnels or investing in weapons or whatever else, if they had built bomb shelters for their people that were never used for military stuff, never used by Hamas for any sort of.
We're talking about a very.
Yeah, I understand, but I think if they had built that, and civilians were hiding in there, and Israel bombed it, the war would be over tomorrow because Israel would lose all international support. It would be completely over.
Okay, but there's a lot of reported war crimes that have been going on in the Gaza Strip by Israeli forces.
But a lot of those
like mass graves.
We don't know the map, so the first report about
I don't want to like.
Yeah, sure.
I want to call it off because I don't want to.
No, you're fine. I appreciate the conversation. I do appreciate the conversation.
So,
God damn.
Okay, one more video on this. So you hear the people now. So now it's like more like, okay. This guy I bumped into. This is 17 minutes. I think it's the last guy that I talked to.
Definitely a Loner Box fan. He's got the Loner Box fan hair. Got Loner Box fan jewelry, earrings. Got the Loner Box fan swag. Here we go.
Yeah, okay.
Clearly.
Here's the final one. This is so silly. Yeah. Is there a reason why it's mostly women doing?
He looked scared to be seen shaking hands. Yeah, he did kind of. But poor guy. He looked like he wanted to talk, but I think someone said something from behind him that just made him feel guilty. Or
activism for the most batshit insane positions out there. I don't know why women just tend to be leaders more in like in political communal spaces, which is one of the reasons I made fun of Fuentes so much and some of the incel movements. No, this is Fuentes, not incel stuff. But if you're doing like political stuff and you're like super sexist and you're shutting out women, you're fucking yourself hardcore because women do so much of this like work on the ground for like real life political activist shit. Was that after or before they called people not to talk to you? Well, we're watching all of these sequentially, so.
Okay, real quick. Do you want to introduce yourself as much as you're comfortable with?
Yeah, sure.
Why do you shake with your fingers open? I don't know, because I do, because I don't give a fuck. If you want like a pro tip for life, anybody that obsesses over like how you do a handshake and shit like that, usually more often than not, these are losers that have nothing in their life. And the only
you know what, Africans, I think, I can't remember if it's Arabs as well, I've forgotten. Africans have like floppy handshakes, like limp handshakes. Like firm handshake is like kind of like a Western concept. I've heard, I can't remember who told me that it was someone from, which part of Africa was it? Africa's a big place. Is it south? Was it southern? Was it below the Sahara? Obviously, there's some parts where you're not really, it's disrespectful to offer a handshake, but I don't remember. What? Stop naming random African countries, you guys. Holy shit. It might have been South Africa. And for Lebanese Christians, it's a kiss on each cheek because they think they're French. That's the Lebanese Christian way. Anyway.
Only thing they can possibly show for it is like doing the right fucking procedures or moves for like a handshake or whatever fucking else. The reality is nobody gives a fuck. You're not going to become more successful or less successful because of how you shake your hand. It's going to be with whatever particular gifts or talents you have to offer the people you're working with. Nobody's ever closed a business deal or not by how they shake somebody's fucking hand. You want to see somebody obsessed with this more than anything else? Look at fucking Donald Trump. Jesus. Oh, there are a lot of people that keep walking up to like film me or take pictures or whatever, and I want my friend to like, oh, get him back. Don't let these do you. Yeah, this guy did it. Yeah, he did it.
Scumbag.
I'm an aerospace engineering major here at UT, sophomore. Shouldn't really care about politics because I'm a STEM major, but everybody cares about politics. And everyone cares about politics. I mean, watching you since like I was in like, I was in like high school. I found out for you, but like,
oh damn, he's a DGGer.
So
Fuck.
I've known you for a while.
Timbuktu.
So I was here on Wednesday. So I think a lot of the news.
So Wednesday was the really big protest where people got arrested, I believe. It was the last big one, yeah.
What they reported on was pretty shitty. I saw basically who got arrested. There were some people, of course, there's going to be some people violent.
Okay, whatever. This one's like 16 minutes long. This was supposed to be a tangent from me talking about the MTG video. Oh, God. Come on, Loner Box. Stay focused. This is a no meds day. All right, hang on. I've woken up now, though. Can you tell? Can you tell I've been perked up? All right. Marjorie.
Our open border is the greatest threat to the American people who, by the way, Monday was tax day, April 15th, when struggling Americans pulled together to pay their taxes or filed for extensions or paid money that they just didn't have and desperately are hoping for a tax return.
Keep up the tempo.
The United States federal government is doing everything they can here in Congress, persuading members of Congress with every lobbyist from foreign countries and groups, trying to tell us to send $100 billion overseas, and we're doing nothing for our border. So when you want to talk about misinformation, Mr. Snyder, you might actually look a little closer to American media if you don't like what they're saying. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, does he have the opportunity to respond to the
She's so
young lady?
funny. What a fucking
I didn't ask him a question, Mr. Raskin.
You asked multiple questions.
I did not ask him a question.
You certainly
Mr.
did. Did you see this?
Time has expired. Gentlelady, time has expired. Chair now recognizes Mr. Frost from Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I get into it, it's interesting to hear my colleague just now talk about disavowing white supremacists, when in 2022, she spoke at an event led by white supremacists and white nationalist Nick Fuentes, and when asked about it, doubled down on it and said, we're going to focus on people, not labels. So get out of here with that damn hypocrisy. And Dr. Snyder, I'm going to give you some time to respond.
God, yes, Mr. Frost. Loner Box viewer, if I ever saw one.
Go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to thank the representative from Georgia by making clear with her comments and with her person that any discussion of political warfare has to include Russia, Ukraine, and America. She's just demonstrated that point, I think, very powerfully. On the question of Nazis, I've written 2 books as a historian about Nazis and the Holocaust. On the question of Ukrainian nationalism, I am the leading scholar of that subject in North America and have been writing about it for 20 years.
Oh, God. Academics are really bad at debates. Oh, they can be. An academic can be, like, they can have so much fucking status and just be really bad at engaging with disagreements. It's really weird. But I just wonder. Because I feel like it shouldn't be the case. Unless you have like social difficulties or you got anxiety or some shit. I feel like unless you're dealing with some otherworldly debate bro shit or whatever, you should be able to answer fairly well-known objections. Nothing MTG presented to Timothy was out of pocket, was out of the ordinary for pro-Russia sentiment, right? So it should be easy enough for him to respond to. But I just got like a little, I just got a little scare there because he opens with, "I'm very qualified." That's like the worst thing you can say to someone who's challenging you on facts as a layperson versus an academic. But we'll see. Yeah.
If the chamber is interested in the degree of far-right participation in Ukrainian politics, you can be assured that no far-right party has ever crossed 3%. 3% in Ukrainian election. So of
Hey.
course there are bad people in every country, but by any comparative standard is a very small phenomenon. In Russia, on the other hand, the army includes openly Nazi formations, such as Rusich. The
Hey.
government itself is fascist in character, and it is carrying out a war which includes deportation of children by the tens of thousands, the open intention of destroying a state, as well as mass torture. So if we're looking for fascism, and if there is anyone who is sincerely concerned about halting fascism or racism, you would wish to halt Russia.
Thank you so much, Dr. Snyder.
Hey,
and, this hearing was put together to talk
Sigma.
about political warfare, and it's strange because a lot of my Republican colleagues...
You only read Wikipedia, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Is that it? Is that the back and forth? Is that it over? She had her time. He should have thrown more insults. He should have done more of a blowout, although that was pretty good.
Seem to be pointing a lot of fingers, but not at Vladimir Putin and not holding him accountable. I mean, even top-ranking Republicans are having enough of it. Michael McCall said, quote, "I think Russian propaganda has made its way into the United States. Unfortunately, it's infected a good chunk of my party's base," unquote. We just heard some of that right now. Republican Michael Turner, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, quote, "We see directly coming from Russia attempts to mass communications that there are anti-Ukraine and pro-Russia messages, some of which we even hear being uttered on the House floor." Dr. Snyder, can you just talk really quickly about some of the main narratives Russia uses when engaging in political warfare?
I appreciate this question because if we're going to talk about political warfare, we have to take into account the ways that countries cooperate. It's entirely artificial to say, here's China, here's America. That means that we leave aside Xinjiang, at least we leave aside Tibet, Hong Kong, Taiwan, New Zealand, Australia, Europe, all the places where China practices political warfare, and we leave aside Russia and Ukraine, which is where it matters the most. Political warfare is only political warfare if it passes through us. That is the intention. We've just seen an example of it passing through a person. It's only political warfare if it passes through us. What the Russians and the Chinese...
It passed. She's just calling Marjorie Taylor Greene like a vessel, a Russian propaganda vessel. A fucking human skin suit with Putin's fist rammed up her ass, fucking, and just he flaps like that and she talks. That's basically what he said.
Imitating the Russians try to do is to convince us that our system is no better than theirs, there's no point in voting, and we should support, if we support anyone at all, the person who's most likely to bring our system down. That's the point.
I really appreciate you bringing up the fact that it has to pass through us, because we just heard it here from my colleague, and here's another tweet from the same colleague.
Hey,
saying,
he's got it
"Anyone
too. Yes, this guy's he was Progressive Victory, didn't he? Talk to Destiny and Josiah with it. I feel like he wasn't in the house, but he was on screen, right? Yeah.
Votes to fund Ukraine is funding the most corrupt money scheme of any foreign war in our country's history." And if you look at where this is from the Strategic Culture Foundation, an online journal run by a Russian intelligence service that has been sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury Department for election interference.
She brought a prop, but he brought a bigger prop with a community note. It's like those old cop shows where there's the cop and his sidekick, and the sidekick takes out his little pistol. And he's like, "We ready?" And then the cop takes out his massive fucking rifle and just mogs his little sidekick. It's just a little power move.
So we see it passing through us, and not just with the colleague that just spoke, but with many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. And what Russian propaganda won't tell you is most of the money allocated for Ukraine is actually spent in America. 90% of it going to Americans. And so are these American companies to support Ukraine, are these allegations based on evidence, Dr. Snyder? And if not, where do these allegations against President Zelensky and his cabinet come from?
First of all, U.S. weapons are being used extremely efficiently on the Ukrainian battlefield. They're being audited in practice. Secondly, there is an American institution which does audit the way that is expended. Third of all, you're quite right. What the allocation of usually weapons that are about to be decommissioned anyway to Ukraine means is that we spend more on modern weapons inside the United States, which is why the defense industry is generally in favor of it. This trope of Ukraine being corrupt with respect to the weapons comes from a handful of Russian sources. There's no reason to think it. They're fighting for their lives. They're doing very well.
Yeah, thank you so much. We've got to let that sink in. We have members of the United States Congress using Russian disinformation to discredit Ukraine and help Russia. And I yield back. Thank you.
God
Tim
damn.
yields back his time. Thank you very much. Now we yield myself 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, before you do, can I just have one unanimous consent request?
What is this? I'll do that in a minute. No, that was good. That was a good little shutdown. that guy, the assist, the tag teaming from Mr. Frost. This guy's good. This guy's a talent. What a fucking dude. Well done, guys. Well done. Good content. Sorry. Is Xander Hall getting hit by the left? Huh? Are you gonna watch the video tomorrow, Jamie, or day after tomorrow? Not today. I'm so I'm tired. I'm hungry. Why? I've seen a few things kicking about Reddit. People complaining about Xander Hall talking about Palestine being too much of a lib or whatever. I'm like, really? Xander Hall was. Let's see. I wonder what's going on here.
As a vehicle to...
It's not an ethnic cleansing. Guys, I don't like when lefties call it an ethnic cleansing, because if you're going to call what Israel is doing an ethnic cleansing, then you have to call Hamas. You cannot claim Hamas doesn't want to ethnically cleanse all the Jews. Because like the Hamas flag, many of the groups outside of Gaza and like Palestine that support Hamas and back them literally have "death to all Jews" written on their flags and stuff. It's part of their slogans, Hamas's slogans. So if you like, Hamas wants to kill.
I mean, you could say there are two ethnic cleansings happening, but that's not really the best argument for why it's not an ethnic cleansing, because you could just say that Hamas tried to do one, they failed. Israel's successfully doing one in response, but I mean, calling it ethnic cleansing now, it just doesn't make much sense, because I mean, it could be that the citizens of Rafah will never see the North Gaza again because Israel will take it over. That could be the case, and that would be an ethnic cleansing. But it's like people are just saying it for the I guess I feel like people are just saying it because they're using it as a proxy for bad. It's a synonym for bad. It's a bad thing. I don't think they're even thinking there's an evacuation, and that evacuation might result in them being pushed further down towards Sinai. And once they're in Sinai, Israel will put up the wall and be like, "Nah, security, keep them out." And then settlers will come into Gaza, and then the right wingers won't stop them, and then they'll just stay there, and then it'll be done. But it's like, I don't think they're actually. That's why I would say ethnic cleansing is probably a fair assumption, like a fair risk assessment, to say that it's not impossible this would happen. It's not even that far outside of the realm of possibility. But that's not why people are saying ethnic cleansing. People are saying ethnic cleansing because it sounds bad, because it reminds them of the Ilan Pape book, or it just means bad. I think that's why most people are saying it. Anyway. It's interesting, though, that he's Xander Hall having a loner box moment. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, God, if they talk about genocide. Oh, God, if they talk about genocide. Oh.
Kill all the Jews. They want ethnic cleansing. It's part of their slogans, their ideology, their propaganda,
That's true. That's facts.
Imagery, their aesthetic, you know? Like, if you want to say Israel is doing an ethnic cleansing, then you also have to agree that the hostilities from Hamas are attempts at an ethnic cleansing. So it's literally an ethnic cleansing versus ethnic cleansing at that point. These words are what are called thought-terminating cliches.
Fucking. All right. Fucking nice one. Thought-terminating cliché. He's going woke.
You guys understand that, right? There is a time where this phrase can be used, and it's just straight up an accurate way to describe what's happening. I don't believe that ethnic cleansing is a definitionally accurate way to describe what's happening. This is not a defense, by the way. People love to see that as a defense when I say...
Bro, what the fuck is happening right now? He's, Is it because someone are saying... Wait, did someone say it in chat? Or he just knows. He just knows it's coming. Yeah, okay. I feel, you know what, guys? Learner box viewers coming in right, left, and center here.
Say this. And I don't like the attempts to try to use a nasty word that everybody agrees is bad to describe what's happening there and leave the argument at that. That's what it feels like. Everyone just wants to say it's a genocide, and if you don't agree that it's a genocide, then you support genocide, and you're a genocide supporter, and that's the end of the conversation. That's kind of like how people want it to be. But it's more complicated than that. I know that, like, that's the meme, but it is. It's like the most complicated foreign policy issue ever.
What an... Bro, what the fuck? Wait, hey, hang on. Where are the... Okay, his reason for saying don't call it ethnic cleansing wasn't actually the best one, but it sounded like he was formulating something near the end, in the middle and the end there. Huh. Is this the the Zanderholics? Slanderholics are shaken to their core right now. They felt on top for quite a while, but out of nowhere. Zanderhol, the Syrian nationalist. Okay. Oh well. I'd be interested to see what else came of that. But funny. You never know what you're going to see on the internet, guys. Hi, who is MTG? Don't worry about MTG, Warthongs. MTG is Jewish space laser lady. Remember her? In any case, I think I'm. Hang on. I think I'm too tired, you guys. I'm sorry. I had a second wind. You just watched the second wind last for about an hour and a half, but my fucking god. Whew. Listen, I might stream tomorrow. I might not. We'll see. There'll be a day off at some point. It should have been today, for fuck's sake. Do I eat a full Irish or fish and chips? Fish and chips, obviously. And then I need to, next week needs to be consolidating Israel-Palestine history notes. It needs to be that. Because I've got everything I need for it. Everything's there. And I only have so long before the knowledge starts fucking dripping out of my brain. And I suddenly start... leaking. Like Mahmoud Abbas on a light jog. Okay. I want to see a panel debate with Lornabox, Dylan, Matt Binder, Xander Hall, Shark Zero, and Vosh. Okay. Well, put out some feelers. See what happens. I'll just send you this way, okay? Ugh. Listen, guys. Well, what topic? Just whatever. Food takes. All right, fuck off. Guys, I'm tired. I'm so tired. There's an option here to auto fucking... Where... There's an option to auto unlist my live stream. Why did it appear on one of my fucking lists, but now it's not here? On one of my dashboard options, but now it's not here. Why? Why does it do that? It should be an easy button to find everywhere. Also, I changed my stream upload bitrate today. I don't know if it was any smoother for you guys. I guess there was no surprise Fs in the chat on your end. But if anyone found the viewer experience a little bit easier, that'll be why, hopefully. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you. How? Oh, it's here. Unlist live once. Oh, it's okay. It's automatic now. Good. Okay. All right, guys. I love you. Bye. I'm so tired. Bye.